the school.
Wait, who'd you just call an idiot?
Ichigo.
Ichigo's an idiot. That's your opinion, correct?
No, look, I like him. I just think he's an idiot. He may be smart, but he's a smart idiot.
Caught in 4K. Let's go.
Okay, that's fair.
Carrot Head is more accurate, Mikey.
True.
Welcome in, everyone.
Did we start?
Yeah, we started.
I
Steam,
don't care if it's caught in 4K.
congrats on first. Extreme, congrats on second. And Mikey, congrats on third.
Brief.
His name is Strawberry, essentially.
Yeah.
Look, I've had a busy day today, and I woke up early. I'm a little tired. I'm still good to do this, because I just downed the Diet Coke, so I'm, like, jittery.
I'm tired, I'm hungry.
God.
The title,
Diet Coke.
Deathberry.
I have a regular Coke in front of me. I haven't opened it yet.
And Kindad, why are you nodding in my ear? I don't like this. God damn it, Steve!
What kind of nut is it? An acorn? A walnut? What are we talking
I
about?
have 4 hours of sleep.
You
Almond.
don't want it to be an acorn. That'll be seen with deadly force.
It's a peanut. Which isn't a
Peanuts
peanut.
are legumes.
I know they're legumes. Did you know they come from a fruit?
Pistachios?
Or did you know cashews come from a fruit?
Yep. They grow on the bottom of cashew apples.
Yep.
I don't know why, but my brain has woken up and chosen violence today. Because my first thought was, after you said what kind of nut it is, was I wonder if you get hit in the side of the head with a Coke knife, you'll go deaf.
Probably.
Anyways. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, it's fair.
I'm Sammy. You're game master and whatever the fuck you want to call me. Just don't call
Are
me
you
Charlie.
already doing exercises?
Yes!
We barely even start. Is it Steam?
It's
Yeah,
Steam.
It is Steam.
God
Yeah.
damn it,
King
Steam.
Steam.
So anyways, who the fuck are you people?
I don't even know who the fuck I am.
Damn.
Alright, Crow's first. He spoke first.
Oh, alright, fine.
Hi, I'm Mordred Fox Lady.
Steve,
Yay!
do shout out to me please while I exercise.
Virgo.
Hello, my name's Steve Goto. I play Arlos, a Hexblade Warlock, and I'm accompanied by a wind tunnel.
I just realized that my fan was on. Sorry.
Yeti that is loud.
It's okay. Mikey, you go ahead.
Yeah, alright. What's up, everyone? I'm Cosmos Keeper, aka Karen, and I play the bird. Doc.
Bird. Prepares to
The
work.
chicken.
Big Oreos.
How dare.
I don't.
Fine.
First of all, I share. Second of all, I popcorned it. It was you.
Alright. It's me, the Doc, playing the Oct.
That is odd.
Yeti, go.
I am the Midi-80. I am playing Urg at the Torkoal Monk today. Crow.
Crow,
Now
Wait,
we're
what?
run.
Right.
we're all done.
Alright,
10.
Yeti is definitely not all here today.
Crow, go again.
Sammy's turn.
Hi everyone, I'm Sammy, your god mommy, and God, I am your mommy.
Damn.
Right now, I think the floor is yours.
Giggity.
Shut up. I'm almost done.
Also, Sam, sing mode.
Mode?
She can't sing while she's doing exercise.
Oh, god damn it.
You can.
Yeah. This big Yeti redeemed it like an asshole.
I thought you said say mode, not sing mode.
I heard say mode, so I was like, what?
I was like,
I heard
mode?
Like Edna mode? Like, what are we talking about here?
Right?
No mode.
I will
Okay.
apologize. My mic has been
Nuggets!
funny, today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a busy day for Sam. I was keeping her busy before.
Yep. That kept me very busy.
Yeah, kept that mouth moving.
Gig T.
Did a DTS bot just like glitch for anyone else?
No, Mordred mistyped it.
Oh.
So who remembers what happened? Da-na-na-na, Da-na-na-na.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I wasn't all there that session.
Well, for 2 hours last session, we tried to make a potion for Charles.
Yeah, that
And-
was
That was not meant to be as long as it was supposed to be.
They fed Charles vomit.
Yeah. And then, we returned to the inn, and then we went out and fought zombies.
That is a real fact. You all went to a church and fought zombies
Got
after
branded.
you got branded by the church.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Why
that
is the
part.
church branding us?
Because
I mean,
that's how
honestly,
they
think about it.
work. It's a church about stuff you can roll to figure out or you cannot. I don't care. It's all up to you.
I can't tell if it was the singing stuff or if it was the mic, but I swear I thought you just said it was the Church of Butt stuff.
It's a church about stuff. No.
I would like to leave. I'm not into this, please.
I hope these brands are
same.
temporary.
Depends on how you define temporary. Because you might be mad at me for that.
What do you mean by that?
We'll just-
I joke,
we'll
it's
deal with it,
not
see what
that
happens.
bad. I swear the song is not stuck in my head. Can someone please take over for me? Or else I will cry.
I'm literally trying to figure out what
Not.
you're singing to the tune of, and I can't figure it out.
I have
and it's
no
bothering
idea.
me.
Hey.
See, that sounds familiar.
Or in high school opening.
I'd say the first thing I think of is
Kiss
Yu-Gi-Oh!
fall in
GX.
love, bro. No.
Kiss, kiss, fall in love.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know that one.
Oh, no.
Oh no, though.
I don't know it.
Mordred had got
or
it
in high
right.
school host club.
It's
Yeah.
Or in high school host club OP opening. Yes, I said
have
that
seen that
twice. Will you not fight me now?
Bring it. I'll fight. Kidding.
Don't fight the host club. Leave them alone.
Yeah, they'll make you work for them if you break a vase.
So what would you all do now that you're free from zombies?
Fighting dreamers now?
Depends. Did you all fight within a dream recently?
Oh god, we're fighting dreamers.
I have to ask, is that Bob chicken on the statue or is it behind the statue?
Wouldn't you like to know more about that Bob chicken? It could be either one or I don't know. Yeah.
Wait. Despite the turn order still being up, are we free to move?
Oh yeah, last time the floor opened.
Yes, you
Oh.
are, but I'm keeping that up for myself to know how you all go.
Fair.
Yeah, the floor opened last time, so we can either. I think we can either take a look at the big thing here, or we can just go descend further into madness.
The
wanna-
floor
I agree,
did
we'll
not
just make the big
open.
hatch
There are just stairs over here, you.
Oh, I thought they were all right. Well, I misremembered. Either
I want
way.
to investigate the organ because organ.
Roll
I think that was
religion.
Who? Oh.
Anyone who wants to investigate the organ
damn
and
it.
know about it.
I guess that's how my rolls are gonna go tonight.
Oh,
Octog
please no.
is not very interested in instruments, so
You uncultured swine!
the funny thing is
Who are
he's
you
a bard.
calling a swine?
Not you. Talking to the lizard.
Well, that's over.
Kay's just confused. He's like, but he's a kobold. He's
So-
not a pig.
Still a lizard.
I'm not a swine.
Forget it. Forget it.
Okay.
Stupid.
So Crow or Arlos, with the 13, you're able to look at the little piece of paper on the organ, realizing that these are religious signifiers for higher judges within the Church of Kalen. And it's usually played by a high priest for any judges to address their court.
Can I attempt to play what we see?
Sure, go ahead and roll me a performance check with advantage. Since you were able to identify it and yeah. And you know what it's for.
Oh yeah.
All right. You're able to play a pretty formal piece of somebody making an entrance. Not very something like hype or anything, but more of like, this is the person. They are coming, and they are here to cast judgment.
Oh.
Suddenly Imperial March.
Dun, 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 dun. Disney don't sue. So yeah. What else would you all like to do? Yes, it's a minor tone parody of "Here Comes the Bride."
Here comes the
Dun
king.
dun dun dun.
Suddenly accidentally plays the funeral march.
Right?
Can I play the coffin dance?
Roll me a performance check. No advantage, just performance.
Okie dokie. Oh, wait, you said no advantage. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead and re-roll. All right. You're able to successfully play the coffin dance. And if you look behind you, you'd be able to see the essence of instruments wanting to join you, but staying in place.
Yes, my brothers. Allow us to play this ensemble of godlyhood.
It's just you playing, but like you're playing inspires the other instruments without causing any like actual magical effects.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Are there doors over here in this hallway that we would have noticed?
In which hallway?
Walking up here? Well, this little intersection.
Yes, you're pretty sure they lead outside.
Okay, gang. We can either check out the doors or we can go downstairs. Or we can keep poking around here for more fun things to do. I'll leave that up to you.
I don't know why, but I thought you were gonna go into the like Shaggy's voice, and be like, "Okay, gang, let's split up and search for clues."
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Don't you mean Fred?
No, I was specifically thinking Shaggy's voice from like that one scene in the live action movie where they're on the spooky island.
All right, gang, let's split up and look for
Caveat.
clues.
Wasn't that one time from the show where Shaggy said it, and then everybody got confused?
I think so.
Yeah.
Would be too.
I think it was also the part where he said, "Let's split up," and then immediately Shaggy leaves with Scooby. Fred says, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Did we ever split up any other way?"
Yeah, it's like Velma
Yeah,
goes
I
by
remember
herself, you go with Daphne, and me and Scooby go this way.
just the continuity jokes that are really funny.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyways,
Anywho,
Well,
what would you all like to
Alright.
do?
I personally vote to go downstairs.
upstairs.
Is it
Okay.
up? I thought they were going down.
Octot, you see a set of stairs going up,
Stairs.
on the opposite side of the hallway from the stairs going down. However, there's an explosion that causes them to collapse. As somebody plays the explosion sound alert.
Do we get to look at it, or are we cool?
You're cool. I mean, if you
Alright.
want to look at it, you can. Octod's not cool because he got to look at it. But you, as you were finishing your song, the coffin dance, it just ends with an explosion.
Pretty cool.
Not caused by you, let me say that clearly. So no one blames you for it. But
Damn it,
it
Orlos.
does happen.
That's fine, but that's still cool when the timing's aspect.
I just realized, do I still have my wings or no?
How long do they
How long
last?
did you fly? Let me check real quick.
Sam, should we roll new numbers for the
Initiative?
No, for my thing, the necklace thing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and roll new numbers.
All right. 13 and 15.
Alright, which one you getting?
Actually, the end of my turn. Gotcha.
I'll take 13.
Okay, I'll take 15.
We'll always take the lower number. What does that mean?
He wants me to give him a good number. Anyways, so what did you all do? You want to do?
Todd will start heading towards the stairs.
All right, you all go ahead and head towards the stairs. And as you
Stairs.
get closer,
Cool.
nothing happens. You just get to the stairs peacefully.
Stairs.
You hear noise coming from downstairs, but that's about it.
You guys think they're having a party?
I agree with Alina. Stairs.
How far down am I able to see, or do I just see where it loops around?
You're able to see about 15 feet down before it starts looping around, and then it also gets too dark after that. But you all do end up going down to the next floor and appearing at the stairs here.
Bob.
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 Bobbert.
He's everywhere. He is eternal.
Where is Bob? I forget where I put Bob. There's Bob.
God dang it, Bobby.
Oh. Anyways. What would you all like to do? Now that you're down here.
Do we automatically see this guy?
Go ahead and roll me a perception check. Also, Alina and Joy, there are two of you.
Shadow clones.
That's Shadow Clone Jutsu.
Don't see shit.
Oh, that's a. I thought that was a 1.
All right. As you come down, the only one who's really perceptive or like looking and paying attention is Uragai, and he's able to spot the zombie kind of lulling behind the statue across the hallway. What would you like to do?
There appears to be a person over there.
Oh, I should, say a humanoid figure.
Yeah.
My bad.
You're right.
Person, you say?
Yes.
Well, considering that we haven't had any good encounters in this place yet, I don't want to go too close.
Yes.
Kay went southern for a minute.
I can see that right there, but it's no problem whatsoever. Y'all don't gotta worry about a thing.
He's a southern bird now.
You know, I met some other southern birds back in my day, but that's neither here nor there. But anyways, how would y'all like to approach this feller?
Do we have to? Is the question.
You were
So what if we take a rock?
you were asked to clear out the church.
I approach the figure.
Of
No!
course he does.
You approach the figure.
Yes.
Roll me a d20.
Just the D20.
Just a d20.
All right.
Well, this can't be good.
5.
Oh boy.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's able to notice you. And he starts reacting towards you all. And you can tell this guy is definitely undead. Flesh barely holding onto his face, or arms, or shirt. The shirt's barely there.
What positive years are those?
You have jokes, little one. Careful now.
Can
Well, I
you
might speak
speak?
to your great
I want to
ancestor.
ask him if he can speak.
Seduction is like a game of chess, and I'm the queen.
Time for initiative.
I'm worth a shot to see if I can talk.
Why?
I mean, we have one undead in our party who can talk.
Actually, I'm
I'm
gonna
not an undead.
ask for new initiative checks.
Yes, yes, yes. My dog is breathing in the back of my ear. I don't know if you can hear her.
Slightly.
Reading like that.
God damn.
Oh man.
And don't forget y'all's chillins.
Yeah, I should roll, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you probably
Yeah.
should. Yeah, cut the balloon.
I don't really feel like it. Oh, apparently I really don't.
Oh no.
Well, damn, Octad. I still need initiative from Joy and Zell.
The character sheet is loading.
We'll tell it to load faster.
I would if I could. All right.
Damn, okay. Don't gotta yell at me.
I wouldn't yell at you, Sammy.
Well, we take the moon, and we take the moon, and you take the moon. And...
Miss Chowder.
And then I assume Joy is loading.
Quick question, Sammy.
Quick answer, Arlos.
Do
Or Crow.
we see this guy or this guy?
Which guy are we talking about?
The one below the one Urgai's talking to, and the one above us.
With your perception check, no. Like, Urgai wouldn't be able to see that either. But the one above you, you'd be able to spot, no problem.
Okie doke.
Like, you're just barely able to see in between those cracks between the wall with your line of sight.
Gotcha.
Yep. Alright, Joy has joined initiative. Sorry.
Da, 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 da.
Oh yeah, happy Pokemon Day.
Oh yeah, happy Pokemon Day, everyone.
Yeah, happy Pokemon Day.
Yeah.
Happy Mon
Pokemon
Day.
Z is real.
Pokemon ZA is real.
Zygarde is finally getting a game.
Yeah.
Finally!
Anyway, like that was actually unexpected. Anyways,
We got
Arlos,
Pokemon Zaza.
you're up first, Zaza.
I don't know.
We have AZ and now we have ZA.
Yeah.
I'm sure that won't be plot relevant.
Not at all.
Alright, so I'm going to load my gun up, yeah, and I'm take 2 shots at this guy
Alright,
right
you
here.
cock your arm and you prepare your Eldritch Blast.
Yeah. No. Oh.
11. Oh, unfortunately, that's going to hit.
Yeah.
How unfortunate. Oof.
What a ray of emotion. Well, roller coaster of emotions right here.
I know, right?
Alright. Oh, beautiful.
That is another hit. Go ahead and roll damage. 5 and 3, so that brings it up to 8. Hey, that's the same as its armor class. Okay, yeah. You deal some damage to this thing. What else would you like to do?
Good question. I think that is it.
Okay. And you wrong mouse. At the end of your turn, it's actually no one's turn because this thing makes an appearance. Nya!
I hate these things.
They come up from the sky and fly down towards the lot of you, standing here
Oh, shit! Octa, get your cousin!
or flying there, and it's gonna breathe
What
a
the fuck?
cone of cold. I'm going to
I'm
need
related.
Oh no.
Arlos, Charles, Kay, and Zell to roll a dexterity saving throw.
Ew.
Oof, I'm out of range.
Yep.
Oh, double damn.
What did everyone roll? You all
Sam.
save. Yes. Look,
Joy isn't in the order.
she should be. She was at 17. How dare you remove her? Why did you do that?
I don't see her.
Why did you remove her?
I didn't.
Then don't. Don't ask why I'm being so hostile. I love you. Don't.
This is some next level gaslighting.
Right? She'll go after you.
God damn.
She rolled 17 earlier. Right? Like, yeah, 17. Joy. But yes, you all made the
Dang.
save, so you'll take half of 8. So you take 4 damage. Are any of you resistant to cold damage?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna assume no.
How does one tell?
It should be in resistances next to AC.
Next to...
Oh, so Steam, you're
Sam
resistant
got
to cold?
cheesed.
No! Don't cheese the cat.
She did. Mordred absolutely cheesed the cat.
Yeah. Well, anyways, the 4 of you take 4 damage each. And that's its turn. Alina, you're up. Also, is Joy hurt? Or is that... Oh, that's not Joy. Okay. I see whose health bar that is. Uh-oh.
Not looking good.
Nope. No, you cannot redeem Cheese the Cat, Steam.
The Swiss!
Oh, I just cracked my ankle. That felt good. No. All right. Well, I guess we'll come back to you and Joy. I assume you're gonna take care of the method, so y'all can probably ignore it. But for now, Charles, you're up. Let me know when you're good, Lena.
So wait, who's? What the fuck?
Charles, kill.
So wait, who's taking care of what now?
I assume Alina and Joy are taking care of the ice method.
Okay. See. No. Charles will go over here.
Neong.
And then all he can do.
Is bonk it with his stick.
He doesn't have a stick.
You gotta give him the stick. You gotta give.
I thought I gave him the electric quarter
What?
stuff.
I don't know how to do the thing. I forgot.
Hold on. Let me grab his sheet real quick. No, wrong one. Campaigns. View campaign.
Oh no, I still have it in my inventory. Oh,
Charles Barkley. No, it's fine. You can just delete it. I'll add it to his sheet. Inventory. Manage inventory. Wrong keyboard.
Sam, you gotta use the right keyboard.
It's just, there's two computers in front of me. Okay, refresh.
I'm not gonna be sassy. I'm not gonna do it.
Be
Do
sassy.
it.
I don't
Oh.
care. I don't care.
Do
Be
it.
sassy.
Skill issue then.
God damn it! Okay.
Yes, the party is violent today.
They
Not
really
even
are.
in-game, just to each other.
Welcome to chose violence.
He's within the 5-foot range, right? Right.
Yeah, he is.
All right. He's gonna use his quarterstaff of shocking and bonk him on the head.
Whoa, no way. How do you get that?
I don't know.
Oh, weird.
magic.
Yeet. Does a 19 hit?
Unfortunately, it misses the zombie who has an AC of 8.
Shit.
Yes, you hit the zombie.
I've just realized that I'd have to roll a 2 or lower to miss these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeet.
A link.
Ooh, that's a damage. Okay.
Attaboy, Charles!
He's a happy dog beast
Alright.
with a stick.
So he deals 8 damage to this guy. Oh, he's not raging, so he does not add 2 shocking.
I did not put him into his rage state
Yeah, he's not angry yet.
yet.
But yeah, that's Charles' turn, right?
Yep.
Alrighty then. Zell, you're up.
What about Alina?
Oh, Alina. Oh, Alina's ready. Okay, sorry. Alina, go ahead. So sorry, I missed that.
It's alright, we got you back.
Thank you. Ignore the train in the background, please.
I like trains.
Meow.
Crow beat me to it by a millisecond.
I like trains.
You do, Sammy.
What are you aiming at, by the way?
Hey, yo.
Time to shoot this bitch? What are you shooting at?
The ice thing.
Okay, the ice thing. So with a 9, that will actually miss.
God fucking damn it.
Hey, you rolled it, not me. Anything else you'd like to do?
Actually, you know what?
I don't.
Luck.
Oh, damn, you got luck. Go ahead. Reroll that sumbitch.
Bang!
13, that's gonna hit. go ahead and roll some damage. Alright, let's see. Rainbow and Marxist. 7 plus 2 is 17. That's not how that works, but okay. That's 26. Oh, damn. So you fire at this thing, and despite the fact that these arrows also deal a bit of cold damage, it seems to actually affect this thing as it dissipates into snow and explode in a wave of cold. Arlos, throw me a dexterity saving throw.
Fuck. It's okay. We trained for this. I think. Good lord.
Okay.
We are over-prepared.
You make the save. Do you have resistance to cold damage?
I do not think so.
Okay, you take 4 damage. As it explodes in a cold, icy explosion. Steam, if you want to play explosion.
It's okay.
Alright. Elena, is that your turn? Alright. Joy, you're up. Ooh, that was cool. Can I afford Thank you. Joy makes her way down a little bit. She lines up her shot. Just making a little gun with her hand and just pointing. And shouts, "Eat fire!"
Charles ducks.
Duck? Where? No, I'm joking. That's gonna hit. Go ahead and roll damage, Joy. Okay. Nine fire. Yeah. You burn this thing to a crisp. Good job, Joy. Then we skip Charles because he already went. Alright. Good fight, everyone. You do see that other zombie up to the north. So, Zell, if you want to take care of that. Otherwise, you can step out of initiative. For the time being.
More zombies.
Alina, go ahead and track that on her sheet. It's funny.
I do think Joy just keeps track of her kills.
I fired 5 people!
I fired 5 people!
Can I do the feline?
Agility?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bonus
that is a free action.
Just
Just do it if you have the conditions to let it activate.
Ooh, can I go into stealth too?
That will take your bonus action. Or no, that would take your action to do.
Oh.
Steam, seriously?
What did Steam do?
Again. I'll get on the floor. Like a good girl.
Everybody do the dinosaur.
That's not what I was implying, but okay.
Wood.
I'm ready.
Zell will go for the dagger strike with the venom.
Alright. If you hit before, since it's before that zombie was able to act, you're able to add sneak attack to this roll, or to this damage.
Oh.
Also, I need you to tell me what you roll.
Oh, I rolled a 23.
That hits.
Hell yeah. How do I add sneak attack damage?
You can just roll the damage. It should add it automatically, or you should be able to roll it at the bottom of your sheet of the actions there. Just scroll down.
Gotcha, okay. I'm rolling.
And then read me the last number.
Give me a shiny Squirtle, damn it.
Last number is 23.
Okay. Wait, Zelda's 23 damage?
That's what it says.
Holy shit. Yeah, Zell zooms past, stabs this thing in the ass, and you just... he watches as it just flumps into the corner and just goes limp.
Just starts stabbing it like a psychopath.
Dad,
My baby.
Dad, I got it. I would delete it, but I'm a little busy at the moment.
I was about to say goes full nifty for like 2 seconds.
No, she's not blood crazy.
I don't even think Nifty was blood crazy. I think she was just crazy.
I need too many bridges. Okay.
I also pick up Zella and give him a really big hug. I'm so proud.
Still kind of nervous about everything. Alright. You're all free from initiative until you get close to something. Or you enter a new room. Just let me know. Because I cannot see my screen right now.
Well, then that kind of defeats the next question I was going to ask you.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say if I can investigate this little, like, pamphlet or whatever it's over here. By the statue or coffin.
Roll me, religion check.
Oh man, I'm not that religious.
Yeah, you're in a church.
I got a 12.
As far as you can tell, it's just a recruitment slip. Nothing too special about it.
Works for me.
Just a way to convert people to the religion of Kalen. Anyone else?
Akshat is not the exploratory type unless he sees something that looks fun.
Reading is fun. Oh, wait.
Leave him alone.
God throwing shade.
He's a product of his environment. Don't shame him.
I said shade, not shame.
Guy's very curious, so he's gonna walk down this way.
All right.
Anyone need a short rest or no?
I mean, I'm fine.
Fucking laptop.
That's fair. Guy, go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Yeah.
By the way, you all don't have to be in initiative order right now, just reminding you. You don't really notice anything right away. Go ahead and roll me a stealth check. Actually, what's your perception stealth bonus?
+3.
+3. Double checking a thing. All right, you don't notice anything.
All right, I will continue to walk down.
All right, go ahead and walk down. When you get about there, you watch as a claw swipes at you from this guy who appeared out of nowhere. Totally.
Oh no.
I'm not even gonna look at the attack bonus because that's a 2 on the die. And we're gonna go into initiative, starting with Urgai.
Do I even notice he swing at me?
What's your passive perception?
+3.
+3? Yeah, you notice. You gotta bend over and grab something from the floor that you think is important, but it turns out just to be a roll of dust. And you watch as the claw just goes above your head. It's like, oh.
I'm tempted. Given what you just said, I'm tempted to pocket sand the zombie.
You can always try.
Am I actually able to pocket sand the zombie with dust in the ground?
You can try.
Alright, so I'm gonna punch the zombie.
Alright, go ahead and roll an attack roll. You see, I'm not saying you can't.
Does an 18 hit?
No, unfortunately, you missed the 8 AC. You hit.
That's 15.
Alright, you deal 15 damage to it with your first hit. It's still standing. Unlike its first swing.
Yeah.
You're still standing. Yeah. That's another hit.
Alright, and this one will be
13. Alright. You watch as this thing, recoiling from its swing at you, or attempted swing, you just punch it as it's still, like, in its hit lag animation, and you just pummel it into pieces.
Missed the swing, got full comboed.
Yep,
Couldn't be me.
got punished.
I actually love it when you miss one hit and then you get stuck in the 80-minute combo.
Oh my god. Don't even get me started.
King's Grapple.
King's Grapple. Don't even get me started on Armor King.
What would you say if I told you that's my main?
Oh no. I don't know Tekken actually.
Oh.
I just know of them.
You could, like, group up
And hit it till it dies!
Woo! Nice! High five!
I will continue down the path.
Alright.
Do I see anything of note?
Roll me a perception check. Actually, surprisingly, you do notice something, above you and behind you. It's this thing. Roll me a dexterity saving throw. Cool. You take 1 damage as it rolls minimum damage on its roll. Yeah, and we're gonna enter initiative. Kay, it's your turn.
Oh god. Well, I'm on the way here.
Do they even know I'm fighting something?
Kay, what's your passive perception? Perception. I can make fun of myself.
How do?
Next to your skills, to the left.
+3.
No, that's your perception. Next to your perception, there's another box.
Oh.
Passive perception.
I don't.
It should be 10 plus your perception bonus.
Check under your saving throws.
Yes.
No, like Yeah. Oh, 13. I'm blind. I was reading that as performance for some reason.
Passive performance. You whistled walking down the street. 13. Yeah, it's enough to notice.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you just hear the ice breath go around and kind of barely. That's close enough, Steam.
Move.
You can move?
Well, I'm math. Hold on. I can't math in my head.
Close enough for the actual, like, passive perception.
Oh, hey, it's the Pokemon that looks like a bootleg Pokemon.
Caparaja.
And then
Wait, no,
What do I
Steam.
have?
If it's, your proficiency bonus is already added to the bonus of the roll. So it's just 10 plus the bonus. Anyways.
And then produce flame is what, 30 feet? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. God damn it.
Not close enough?
Nope.
Have another spell you'd like to use? Okay.
Nope. I don't have one prepared.
You don't
That's
wanna-
not gonna hurt for a guy.
You don't want to take a dash action to get closer?
I mean, I could.
It's up to you. You don't have to.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yeet.
Yeet.
I moved closer.
Cool.
Now
You're-
I'm done.
You have 25 feet movement, right?
Yeah, 25.
So you're able to move 5 squares.
Well, yeah, I moved 25, and then dash is like what?
Another 5.
25 more?
Yeah.
Oh, 5.
Yeah, not 3.
It's another 5 squares.
So you started right below next to Charles?
Yeah. And
Okay, that checks out. Alrighty then. Octad, you watch as Kay mentioned that Urgai was in a fight. Yeah.
Well,
Don't question me about
Let me just-
rules, Steam.
just I can get up to it.
Cool.
Sure, why not? I'll do that. I'll go and I'll use a dash action to get up here.
Alright, you run up to the ice method next to Urgai.
Yeah. I will say though, side note, at the end of the day, regardless of the rules of D&D, DM is God, so what DM says goes.
I am literally God Mommy. Does that make me Mary?
oh my god.
Anyways, Arlos, you're up.
You have something, Sam, but I'll withhold it.
You could DM it to me.
No, it's fine.
Sam wanna know.
Can you show me?
We're gonna blast the old boy here.
Ooh. Oh yeah, I actually am a god too. I forget about that. Go ahead and roll an attack roll.
Well,
That hits. Surprisingly.
we did it.
Lo hicimos. We did it. Dun, 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 dun. Alright, that's one blast. Go ahead and roll your second blast.
So anyway, I started blasting.
So anyway, you started blasting. And you hit the thing with a second blast of 5 damage.
One more than last time. Let's go.
Let's go! That's basically average damage. Alina, you're up. Also, the emphasis should be on R. And there should be a comma after Sam. You'll shoot the thing. Okay. Go ahead and roll a bow with your... Go ahead and roll an attack with your bow, not a bow with your attack.
Sam
I
being
mean, it's
a
still the same thing.
Sam being a grammar suggestive term.
Sam being a what?
A grammar suggestive term.
Win! Hashtag blame cultist. Yes, I am a grammar whore. Come at me, YouTube. You won't. That's gonna hit. Go ahead and roll damage with sneak attack.
Ironically, that's better than the word I was making a joke to.
I know you are. But you said suggestive term, which... That's a suggestive term. Technically speaking.
It is.
And that's enough. Alright. Octod and Urgai. I'm gonna need dexterity saving throws as this thing explodes in front of both of you.
Man.
I know.
Uh-oh.
Do I make
It's
it?
cold.
Urgai, you make it. Octod, unfortunately, you do not. So, Octod, you take 8 cold damage as I rolled max damage. Urgai, you take half that.
4.
4. And yeah, you're all out of combat again. And there is no bossing say.
Wahoo.
Praise be to the mighty Bob.
I really love Bob.
Okay, fine, I'll sit up. Thank you. Posture check, everyone.
No.
I was about to say, nah. kinda
Mikey,
comfy.
you're excused. Everyone else,
Kill me.
fuck you.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow!
What did I do?
You got a posture check.
I find joy in the smallest of things. And that includes annoying people with my PNG changes.
Wait, what did you do?
Don't worry about it.
Oh. I worried about it. Can we?
Go on, damn it, Stewie.
I was gonna say, we gotta stop. We gotta ban Steam from these redeems. He's not allowed anymore.
Probably. That would be the small idea. Idea. Ooh, guy.
Hey, Sammy.
Would you like to come up to everyone?
What if it be never been together?
But what you were talking tea?
I also, side note, I do think there should probably be a limit on those redeems, like how many you can redeem a stream.
Yeah, one.
Agreed. Steam,
Little giggles.
please pause the redeems for Uwu, Nya, and Tough Voice. Tough Voice. Nya. Now, what would you like to do?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
Yes, I would. Thank you, New. I will set limits to those after stream tonight. Night. Go over down it. Okay. Alina and Joy. Ara. There you go. I hope you're happy now. You two come across a growing, swirling magical aura emanating from the floor. And past that, there is a zombie appearing to be reading some scriptures. Yeah.
Zombies can read?
Apparently, this one can.
For them for being progressive.
If you want, you can roll me a perception check.
Anyone or
Sure.
specific?
Anyone, any man who wants to listen to see if they hear anything.
Okay, here's the entire universe.
Clearly.
Kiwi and Awolos. Unfortunately, Uruguay doesn't hear anything. God.
You trying to say guy with that voice is comedy gold.
Never again. So, Arlos and Kay, unfortunately, Uruguay does not hear anything from the zombie, as you both hear.
R is for rocket.
What?
R is for rocket? Is that what you just said?
Yes.
Like a children's alphabet book. Like,
No, they have to start somewhere. I'm proud of them.
You know what? Fair.
P is for prepare
Is this a yep?
Trouble. No, Yeti, shut up.
And make it double.
No. A is for and make it up. No. So what would you all like to do with the zombie learning to read?
I'd like to prepare for trouble.
Would you like to
And
make
make
it
it
double? Okay. Octad, you prepare for trouble. Kay, you prepare for double.
We gotta protect the world from devastation.
To unite all people within your nation.
Exactly.
Denounce the evils of truth and love.
To extend your reach to the stars above.
Yes.
Octad, Kay.
They fucking would.
And
too.
Charles, that's right.
I mean, Zell's a cat.
Yeah, but Charles is closer.
Fair. Although it seems like Joy would be the most likely to do that.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Joy, that's right. Then Charles in the background.
Charles fed.
Charles. That's the way it is. 2 points to anyone who gets the reference.
Charles incoherent grumbling.
Yeah. Well, when he's in wolf form.
Yeah. What form is Charles in right now again?
His normal
Child.
monster
Gotcha.
form. Oh wait, no. Did he switch back?
Yes, he switched to boy form.
Right. That's right.
Well, that's what we were trying to do. I was very determined to get that to work.
As opposed to, Giraffe Charles.
Oh my god, my poor son.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. Feed him some, whatchamacallit, some vomit, and we'll see how it goes. You guys did it. I didn't like it. I did not like that episode.
You let it happen.
You asked to do it.
I didn't know what to do.
Why would you default to that?
Because Octod's not very smart.
Neither are we, apparently. He's a boy? Oh, yeah. He's a real boy.
A real boy.
Dad, I'm a real boy.
You sure are, champ.
Yeah, you sure are, buddy.
If he lifts up his shirt,
Anyway,
you can see a
we're gonna do
seam
about
along
the
his
dude that's-
back.
Are we gonna do something about this dude that's peacefully reading to himself? Because we can't have that shit.
Alina, you're free to assassinate if you would like. And you're free to assume anything about this person that you would like.
Like, can we get him to, villain monologue?
You can try.
We would be here for ages.
Be prepared.
Price is a necromancer.
Okay, no.
Okay, yes.
Alina, roll an attack with advantage and assassinate.
Okay, just from behind Alina, no. Stop.
Unless that's an auto
Don't do
crit,
it.
in which case just do the damage.
You said that?
You hit. I forget how the specific ability works. Like normally it would be, since he's not paying attention, roll with advantage, but I forget how assassinate itself works. Which, thinking about it, I could just pull it up because I have the character sheet on my other computer.
I have all this information that I don't want to use.
I know, right? It's almost like I'm being lazy or something. I don't know. Stupid or something.
You had a busy day, it's okay.
I did. I had to work my mouth. With you.
Yeah. It's a lot of effort.
Yeah. You have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a full turn. Okay. Well, I should remember. Yeah, actually, Mordred, it's your character. You should remember that. Hi, Riley's. Thank you for watching.
Here.
Yes, I see your character sheet. I got it. But thank you anyways. Go ahead. You hit, so go ahead and roll for damage. You're good. You're good. I was putting it up too. Alright, let me see this thing's HP. Okay. Okay. Weaknesses, resistances. Okay. Got them memorized.
Got it memorized.
Oh, it's a crit too.
What's that from?
I forget.
Kingdom Hearts.
From what?
What is it?
Kingdom Hearts. It's Axel.
Yeah, Axel
Axel?
from Kingdom Hearts,
Oh. I barely know Axel.
also known as Lee.
I barely know Kingdom Hearts.
What happened, Jack? For stuff. Steam. Y.
Hey, Alina, I just want you to know you have an audience behind you.
I know what the Wabbajack is. Oh, you did the image. Okay. Thank you.
You
I'll
have an audience behind you.
get
you
around
should
to
come
it.
Show when you assassinate them. We will be judging. We will be giving you scores.
I have cards labeled 1 through 10.
All right. As Alina lines up this shot with her radiant bow, you hear the zombie. W is for what? Watch out! Before the arrow pierces his chest, and he falls backwards, limp on his back.
Poor irony.
I'm just trying to read. Just trying to learn.
She's trying to read.
It's just a Sesame Street letter book.
Dude could read better than Octad.
Alright, you don't know how good he can read when it's in giant.
Yeah, exactly.
Kay holds up an 8.5 copy.
8.5. Shot through the heart, and you're to blame.
I will give a 9 because you got him while he was saying "watch out."
Watch out! Watch out! Watch out!
Nowhere.
Look, he's learning to read. Doesn't mean he understands the words yet.
Bless you.
All right, what would you like to do?
You want to go look at what he was reading because I can't read it?
Poor thing.
You could try reading it, Octad.
Well,
There's
Alina
the-
said that Alina said she's gonna approach the book.
Oh, how do you get there? Do you go around? Or did you go through? Around? Okay. So you go around the big swirling mass of magical energy emanating from the floor in this circle right here. And you go to this book that looks very thick. It's about 27 pages. The first one's a title page.
Wait, Sarah, can you describe this magic thing to me again? Is it like a pool or is it like a floating thing?
It is like a pool.
Okay, Octot peers down into it.
Okay.
Kay also does the same thing.
You see... roll me an Arcana check.
And Alina said they want to read the book.
Kick him into
Yes.
the pool.
Alina, on the page, you see W is for watch out, and on the page next to it is X is for extremely dumb situations.
That's not even grammatically correct.
No, it's not.
Who wrote this shit?
Would you like to read the cover?
Did you actually name this?
Okay, you flip the book closed, and you see The Alphabet of Speaking by Speaker McManson.
Well, I suppose it's doing something.
Fish for friends who do stuff together.
U is for you and me.
Well, now that that's done, can Octa try to get a cup, his hands together, and try to get some of the magic in his hands?
Okay.
Like he wants to drink it.
Sure. Kay, you're watching down at this blue disc of magical energy as Octad reaches his hand down and collides with it on the floor. Almost like it's level with the floor and doesn't go any deeper.
Oh,
but it kind of lights up around your hand. Just a little bit. Almost as if verifying that your hand is there.
I was full ready to just dive on in.
Arlos will try and kick Octon into the pool.
Go ahead and roll an athletics check. Octad, if you'd like to resist, go ahead and roll an athletics check with disadvantage, since you're not paying attention. And Arlos, because he's not paying attention, you also get advantage. I'm sorry.
I've rolled a 16 too, but I have a -1 in athletics.
He rolled a 10. Okay. Arlos, you line up your foot just right to push this kobold's tail forward and face first onto the magical blue disc as it glows a bright blue and he disappears.
Oh, right before he disappears. Oh, you mother.
What would you all like to do?
Help,
My
I'm
God,
in the
you killed him.
ether. I'm in the ether.
Octad, you're in a dark, dusty room.
Well, I guess I should go make sure he's okay.
Hold on, wait, before...
Well,
I was gonna say, before Arlos goes, are you sure that's a portal?
Well,
He's
he's not here anymore.
You might have just killed him.
Octad, you see God before you... No, I'm joking, I'm joking. Oh yeah, Alina,
Well,
do you
I
take the
did.
book? Press on the hold down used for uranium. Bombs.
Akkad may be dead, but his legacy lives on.
Used for uranium bombs.
And is for
And
no...
is for
Hold-
no
survive.
Hold on, I need my joy voice for this. F is for fire that burns down the whole town, used for uranium bombs. And it's for no survivors.
And it's
The
just like,
fuck?
Joy, no.
Uranium bombs. What the fuck?
Aww. I heard about them in a storybook.
Confirmed Sam's campaign's post-apocalyptic.
Dad read it to me once.
Well, if I don't make it back, me and the lizard are dead. Take care of Zal. Bye!
Arlos, you disappear into the aether. Or at least that's what people see. Octad, you see as Arlos appears in front of you. In a dark, dusty room.
I'm punching him.
Roll me an unarmed attack.
I have. Oh, I do have that.
Everyone has unarmed.
No, I just wondered if I had it on my sheet.
Okay,
Oh my god.
you hit. Oh, I'm sorry. I should ask. Arlos, what's your AC?
16.
Okay, you get hit by a kobold punching you. Roll damage. Okay, you take 4 bludgeoning damage from a kobold fist.
Debating if I want to use a spell slot here, but you know what? Sure.
Wait, quick question. Octad, Doc, how tall is Octad?
3 foot something.
Alright, how
he's
tall is
like-
Arlos?
Like 3 foot something.
Alright, but how tall is Arlos?
I
Is he
believe
like
he's
6 foot
6'2".
something?
Yeah, I think he's 6'2". Hold on.
Octad, are you
Wait.
punching his knee?
No, I like to point out he's half his size. Depending on where he's punching, he may be delivering a hard straight directly to his balls.
No, he's half his
Oh.
size at the top of his head.
I forgot I told stories of World War II to Joy.
Steam, you're not her dad.
Oh no, not the dick punch.
You know what? He's going for an uppercut. Right
Oh
in the-
no. Okay. Arlos, roll Constitution saving throw
Oh fuck.
with disadvantage.
Oh, he got me as soon as I came through. No, I wasn't ready.
Your eyes are still adjusting to the light.
Oh God.
Arlos. You writhe on the ground in pain as you take an additional 4 points of bludgeoning damage.
Damn.
You are stunned for the next 2 rounds.
Oh.
You could have killed me.
We knew you weren't gonna die.
You didn't know shit.
Mostly.
I'm so tempted to just start kicking you.
I have an important question though. Would Arlos be able to speak after that?
Yes. I'm kind of stunned, so no.
I mean, you can, but it's very strained. Also, Alina, Joy wasn't joking. And I guess I just made uranium bombs canon.
Well, great.
They mean something different in this world. They mean something different in this world.
We have to worry about nukes.
We're gonna die!
Mantis, what did you do?
Mantis redeemed the IRL word ban of roll.
I was doing it.
And Steam was like, yes, you're getting timed out.
Thanks. Anyways, what would the rest of you like to do?
Alright, can I look into these? Like, these different, like, see if they're statues?
Oh, wait, hold, I'm sorry, you rolled an Arcana check. Yeah, you know that when Octad went on to the blue swirling disc, that it was a teleportation circle?
Well, I guess I could have told him, but it's more fun to see him flail about.
Octad, you also knew what it was.
Yeah, I rolled higher, so Octad actually knew what it was.
Mm-hmm. You just weren't sure if it was like a pool circle or like a floor circle.
I wasn't given a chance to try to explain it.
Yeah. So, what would you all like to do?
I would like to investigate these things.
Okay.
In the alcoves.
Give me a religion check.
Religion.
Hallelujah.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
Oh.
Damn.
From the way these tombs are set, you can tell these are honored saints of the Church of Kalen. There are plaques for each of them, none of which are important to this campaign, but if you want to know them, I can give them to you.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay.
We'll
Bob, Bobbert, Bobette, Bobbin, and Bobeski. No, and Larry. And Larry.
I was about to say, and Larry. Kate is the new member of the church. Exactly. Man's too smart for his own good.
Larry's the one behind the book. Or where the book was.
Well,
You sure we don't want the book?
I think Elena took it. No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Joey would have enjoyed it. Okay, I'm good. So what would the rest of you like to do? You don't have to if you don't want to. I was joking.
Now I'm curious. How long did you time him out for, Steam?
10 seconds.
10 seconds, gotcha.
Yeah, Mantis should be able to get back into chat.
I don't think he knows that because I think this is the first time he's ever been timed out.
Damn.
First time for everything, I suppose.
Damn, Alina. Okay, I see how it is. Fair.
Your name's such. You're not a game.
I mean, it's true.
I've never heard that before. That's brilliant.
I will step into the thing.
After nobody's explained it. Alright, roll me a constitution. I'm joking.
Just Uruguay things.
Alright.
He raises his hand to explain, but then Urugai's gone, and he's like, ah, well.
Actad, you watch as Urugai is now currently standing over Arlos. Urugai, there's a massive person underneath you.
I will attempt to step over him without stepping on him.
You're already over him. You're just trying to step, like, off of him?
Yes.
Okay. You are able to do so.
Slips, falls backwards, and lands on him.
Oh, shelters.
Roll a dexterity saving. Yay. Paul's bleeding. Guys, new bottom surgery just dropped.
I like my boys, please.
You can regrow them. What's a little restoration spell?
Is that canon?
I mean, technically. Depends on, like... Depends on how you go about it and when you use it.
I take this chance to use second wind.
You can.
Thank you.
Alright, what would the rest of you like to do?
Kay is gonna grab Charles's hand and then offer a hand to Zell and walk onto the swirling magic.
Zell takes your hand as he was told that you would look after him. Although, I believe that was also Urugai who was told that, so there's that. But yeah.
I can't move Zell.
I know. The three of you disappear, and Alina, you step in with Joy, and you don't even get 2 steps before you also disappear. As you all reappear in this weird, strange location.
Oh, found
I'm
Bob.
glad we're all together, but can you all get the fuck off of
You're
me?
you're at this if I can do this correctly. There on the map.
Where?
Here.
Gotcha.
And after everyone comes in, Kay, to the left of you is Charles, tiny Charles, not big Charles. I know.
I can't make him small.
I know. He was upside down for a second.
Supersized Charles.
I could make him supersized. But yeah, Kay, to the left of you is Charles, and to the right of you is Zell. And under you is Arlos.
Again, glad to see you all here. But can you please get your asses off of me?
Kay startles and he's like, dude, my bad. And steps off.
I assume Mordred is loading, so there's that. And there's that. There you go. I'll stomp him for being rude. Do you actually? This is just abuse at this point. Like, for Octad, it was understandable, but for Alina, this is just cruel.
The whole party for no reason beats Arlos to death.
Also, Zell, upon seeing you, gives you a hug before Alina kicks you.
I mean, he did kick me through the portal to possible oblivion.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, I said you had a good point. Alina just has a
Sartori's like,
grudge.
why- This is what you get, old man.
I couldn't resist. I will hug Zell back.
All right, you're good enough to stand up and hug him back as he tries to help you up, but he weighs like nothing compared to you.
It's a thought that counts.
Yeah. So, what would you all like to do?
Do we gain HP on short rest or no?
You do.
'Cause you got
think probably short rest time, at least for Arlos.
please.
All right. If you would like to short rest in this location, you can if you want. You can do this in any room of the church. Depending on the room that it is and how clear it is, you do run the risk of running into monsters, though. Just letting you know.
Oh. Hmm.
Depending on the room and how clear it is.
Can we do a perception to see how clear this room is?
I mean, you clearly see stairs heading downwards into some darkness. But as for anything in here, yeah, you can go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Oh no, not disadvantage. What the fuck?
All right. It's not disadvantage. I'm looking at the first number rolled. Looking around, you don't really see anything. You see some like chicken feathers far in the distance on the thing way across from you, but
Every time the party acts cruel, they lose affinity points with me. Good things done, they
Hey,
gain
look.
affinity points. Currently, they are at +4.
it's just feathers. It's not an actual chicken.
Have it.
You feel like these feathers are holy for somehow.
Quick
Oh.
question. What do I roll again for short rest?
You click the short rest. You click the campfire button at the top of your sheet. You toggle, not toggle. You click for short rest, and you would go ahead and roll some hit dice depending on how much you want to heal.
You guys have a campfire? Oh, never mind.
Yes, you have a campfire, Arlos, at the top of your sheet. So would anyone like to set up a watch, or just like you all want to sit around as you take your time resting?
I will stand watch.
I'll stay and watch. I don't have to sleep.
That's
I mean, you're not sleeping. You're all just hanging out, but you're kind of just like
I shall watch.
relaxing
Short
as
rest
you
is
heal.
like catching your breath. Yeah.
So those who are actually healing, will just be resting. The others can go ahead and keep watch and roll some perception checks.
I think I did it wrong because it only rolled one dice for me.
Did you want to do more dice?
I thought I did.
If you want to do more dice, you have to click the boxes.
Oh.
Yeah, you can go ahead and do it again.
How many boxes do I click?
It's up to you. Each box is a different hit die. Your hit die is determined by your class levels. The more levels you have in class, the more hit dice of that type you have. So, for example, if you are 6 levels of monk, you have 68 hit dice to pick from, plus your constitution.
I feel like rolling all of them would be overkill, so I'm just gonna roll 2.
Okay. Alright.
And it still only rolls 1.
Interesting. This is fine. Alright, Alina and Joy are on watch. The rest of you are resting. And I feel like this is a good time for us to also take a short rest.
Yeet. I need to refill my water anyways.
Yeah, I need some water too.
I need
I'm
to
gonna go make
So, yeah.
some pizza rolls.
We will be back shortly. I will see you all soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
Bye.
I had cold soba once. It was weird, but it was nice.
Okay, welcome back. Stop talking about porn.
I were
What?
talking
We're
about
talking
noodles.
about noodles.
Stop talking about nudes.
No.
Welcome back to a podcast not about porn. So, we have all taken a short rest. All
Call it to titty or not to titty?
that is a question. All 14 of us have taken a short rest.
Cum gutters.
Cum gutters. Thanks, Kindad.
Does everyone do that? I feel like everyone does that to upset me, specifically.
Really? Why does it upset you?
Because it's a meme amongst us now.
Hold up. 14.
For what?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
You said
12,
14.
13, 14. Yeah, I just counted. Sam's counting us, the players, and us, the characters.
Ha!
There's 14 total. Unless it's just a very happy coincidence.
No, that was deliberate.
Sam wouldn't throw us into combat in precarious terrain, would she?
What? No. Why would I do that?
6 enemies.
What? Why would it be 6 enemies?
I just ate a pizza roll with just bread.
Why would I do?
Full of bread.
Why would I do that? So
I was gonna say, speaking of pizza rolls.
So everyone roll initiative. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I was gonna say, speaking of pizza rolls, what was the name of the school brand pizza rolls that you would get at school? Like the flat ones that were really crunchy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what they
Still
were
had pizza
called.
rolls?
Yeah, they were good.
Ours did.
I think they were Tyson brand, but I could be wrong.
I think they
I
have
had
a brand,
Bosco
but
Mine didn't.
yeah, we didn't have that. We had like.
Wait, yeah,
the
my school
cheap
did not have pizza
pizzas.
rolls.
We had shitty flatbread pizza.
All right, you're fighting undead. Roll for initiative.
Listen, at those times, those shitty flatbed
We had
pizzas made it through the
sticks.
week. We look
Saw
forward
that,
to
Work
Sam.
of shame, let's go.
Sam, I saw that.
That was the joke. Roll for initiative.
I did too.
Bosco sticks are massive cheese sticks.
I've killed him once. I'll do it again.
All right. Anyways, getting back on track. After your short
We
rest,
should.
what would y'all like to
Now
do?
that Arlos has got his breath back.
He just knocked the wind out of me.
He sent me through a magic portal that we didn't. Well, I knew what it was, but you didn't know what it was.
So,
I mean,
is this
you didn't say anything bad about it.
That is a way up, but if looking up, you don't see it going anywhere except a large bridge that just wraps around the large hole that you're in.
As Arlos continues to walk awkwardly for a while.
I'll be okay. Eventually.
Man, I don't know about you guys, but that hurts for a bit, and then it's just gone. Like, it
Weirdly,
doesn't linger too much.
Come on, nut shots.
Yeah, like it hurts for a bit, but once the pain stops, it's just gone.
Yeah.
Like it's either there or it's not.
I mean, it
to
depends
be
on how hard you got hit.
to be fair, a flick is worse than a punch.
Schrodinger's nut shot.
I've seen people take it would be one thing if it was a baseball. No, I've seen people take softballs, which is a really ironic name because those are not soft.
No, they are not. They're just big.
Clever.
I think. Yeah. Anyway, we should descend.
Well, they are softer, but yes, you go ahead and descend the stairs slowly.
Into madness.
Already here, bro.
And Octad hit him hard enough to almost shove them back up into him.
What he uppercutted me.
Funny thing, there's actually a slot in your pelvis for them to go.
Never thought I'd learn that, but here we are.
They're actually used to help for tucking.
Oh.
I think the better sentence would be. Never thought I'd learn that at a D&D session.
That sentence could be used in any D&D campaign.
There are holes where you can put
Thank you,
those.
Anyway, further down, my friends.
Yep.
And Arlos.
Wow.
Fuck you too.
Kay just pats Arlos on the arm.
All right.
Why is Uba always insisting to be in front of me? No, I'm in front.
As you two get down to those stairs, you find another platform.
Is it Blighttown? Probably not. We have things spitting poison at us.
What's Blighttown?
From Dark Souls.
I thought you played Dark Souls.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought you played Dark Souls.
I don't pay attention to names.
Blighttown, the poison
Come on.
swamp.
I'm trying to tell people this.
I have all location names. That's the most infamous one in the Souls series.
Okay, if you tell me it's the poison swamp, I understand that.
The original poison swamp.
I haven't played the original.
Sam, it's the poison swamp.
Oh, it's a poison swamp? Okay, that makes sense.
I can hate you sometimes. Just for that, I'm running to the all the way over here.
Okay, stop right there.
I already was.
Okay. Roll me dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
Row, Raggy.
Uh-oh.
Alright.
Guys,
come-
I might be taking a tumble here.
You come down to the last step, and you think you're on a platform, but as you step forward to try and take a step forward, you realize there's another step, and you do a large smack at the bottom.
Ow.
Well, you don't hurt yourself, you just like stomp really hard with your foot.
I was about to say, has
Hold on,
anybody
just-
done the...
No, you're fine.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, has anybody... Before Sam said, I was gonna say, has anybody done the thing where you miss a step and you slam your foot into the ground with the might of Zeus?
Yeah, that's when you're going up
Yep.
and you try to go for that phantom step.
It's
or-
only going down.
when you're
where I
going
think
down,
on
you
my last
tumble a
step,
little
I
bit.
take another step.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Oh, God,
I guess
excuse
we're
me, I'm
still
so sorry.
going down. Down, 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 down.
All right,
to
stop
the
there.
bottom of the sea.
I'm
Okay.
gonna need a wisdom saving throw.
God damn it.
Okay.
You miss another step.
No, you can proceed.
Okay.
Okay, I need a wisdom saving throw.
God damn it.
Do we all just do the wisdom save?
Yeah, please.
Gotta do with something with the darkness, I imagine. Damn. Oh no.
Oh no!
Or Charles.
Charles, no.
Oh no.
Okay.
Zell falls into the darkness.
Okay. Charles and Zell both look down into the darkness, and then they look back up and like, wow, it's dark. Same with Joy, but Joy's more excited about it.
This isn't your regular darkness. This is
Advanced
Advanced
darkness.
darkness.
It's weird how your eyes glow in the dark, so you can see each other.
I'm pretty sure all of us have dark vision.
Alina doesn't, I don't think.
I don't.
It doesn't.
Oh, never mind. Wrong party.
At least I don't think. Pretty sure he doesn't.
Alright, so you all can proceed ahead. As you realize that the darkness is dark.
It's
So
very
it's not going
dark.
to be like the mist, right? Where we just start hallucinating.
They hallucinated in the mist?
I don't know, it depends on whether or not your wisdom saves matter.
We gotta get ready to fight the Four Kings.
No, they don't hallucinate in the mist, but I like to think that there's nothing here and that we're just hallucinating.
Into the darkness I go.
Okay, being the last ones, Charles is like, wouldn't it be cool to jump?
Oh, I know that part.
No, I'm joking. It does
The
not
intrusive
happen.
thoughts.
He doesn't do that.
I found Bob, by the
Lapel
way.
to fucking
Intrusive thoughts go burn.
You found Bob?
follow the
I
void.
found Bob.
For real.
Yeah, you found
Literally.
Bob.
And I jump in.
Okay, you jump in, and you all appear here.
Wait, hold on a
Fair,
second.
he's the only one that jumped.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. You don't actually like leap and fall, but you do start out over here.
Bob.
Near-
Bob.
I feel safe with Bob nearby.
Don't worry, there's a Bob on every map. I made sure of it. Oh, giant Charles.
This is a
My Theo is
problem.
big.
Big son.
Big.
You've been feeding that boy.
Carrots.
Carrots and potatoes.
I like how my default is part of the joke. Ooh, Gastrodon.
Gastrodon. Never mind.
Damn.
Crash it on this dick.
Gastroke this dick. Anyways.
Yo.
So yeah, you all appear in this room which is barely lit. And being where Charles is, you're all able to see about this much. Prepare to say bye to Bob.
No. Someone want to tell Joy what a dick is? Because apparently...
No. Not our job.
What's a dick?
Yeah, it's not...
Not our job.
Not my place to give that lesson.
Would you all like to say bye to Bob?
Bye, Bob. Wait, why is Bob
in
going
the
by?
walls? Oh, no. Bob, come back. Oh, thank you.
Bob, come back.
No. Oh, thank God.
You just hear like his head pokes out of the wall and he just goes.
Bob's in your walls.
Literally.
Ah!
Bob is the greatest
You know,
contribution to this campaign so far.
I just imagine Bob doing the fucking robot chicken theme whenever he like disappears and comes back.
We appear to be making the dark descent. But
It's too bad this dungeon wasn't any darker. That way it could be considered the darkest dungeon.
I was gonna say, is there a guy named Alexander at the end of this? Because I don't like that.
I don't know who Alexander is.
Amnesia.
Now are we going to start hallucinating?
Oh, amnesia joke. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, darkest. All right.
I started playing.
Darkest, yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Amnesia
started
Dark
playing
Side.
Amnesia on stream.
You should keep playing it.
I don't do good with horror.
Sam,
But it-
I get to the first monster in that game and I quit. I don't play the game anymore. Nope,
But-
can't
but
do
Sam-
it.
There's more than one monster?
Yeah. It's a good game though.
But Sam, when you're not good with horror, that's what brings in the views. People love it when people are bad with horror.
I don't do. I don't react well.
Yeah, Yeti watched me play horror games, and Yeti was just enthralled in what I was doing.
Well, because what you were playing wasn't necessarily a horror game.
True. At least that one wasn't.
It was more like a what would you call it?
Like
a visual novel, like a visual novel.
It wasn't really a visual novel, but there was a lot of reading.
Yeah.
Oh, come
no,
on.
'cause
Phoenix
that
Wright
means
is a
right to
visual novel.
That I won't disagree with, because the gameplay's so minimal.
Anyways, these areas are revealed to you as you head forward. Lights barely illuminating anything past what they can
I'm
shine.
curious what this thing is.
That thing? The pot or the coffin?
This thing.
Ah, that's a coffin. Would you like to open it?
Don't. Oh.
I just look at the others. Should I open it?
Bad things happen when you
slab.
Return
Oh,
the
suffer my
slab.
You should open it.
Oh, God.
Suffer my curse.
There's a bunch of movies telling us as to why we should not.
By the
open
way,
coffin.
that episode
a movie?
traumatized me.
Wait, oh yeah, that would. You know what's weird?
Oh.
That didn't scare me initially as a kid, and then as I got older, it scared me, and then I got not scared by it again. I don't know what that evolution was.
Interesting.
Yeah, like when I was like 4 to like 6, it didn't scare me. When I was like 7 or 8, it scared me, and
Right.
then when I was like 8 or 9, I was fine.
Interesting.
That movie was. I mean, that show was not meant for children.
No, it wasn't. Anyways, Yeti, you
No,
open the
it
coffin?
was.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
It's the worst that could happen.
Okay.
Just
So
last
you
word.
put your claws against the coffin and push it open. And inside there is a skeleton. What do you expect to find?
Is he gonna cut? Is he gonna cut a jib?
As you're watching, looking down at it, you can see that its arm stays still.
I will leave the coffin.
Okay. As Joy looks back at the coffin as you walk away, you can see the skeleton do nothing.
Lita says, "Punch it anyway."
Punch it anyway. Just in case.
I like how Uguay's like going this way, and Octodad's just, "No, I'm in front."
Who?
Don't correct me. No, I'm in front. No, me.
Can I get one area, please, guys? Alina has decided. You're going this way.
No, me.
Also, Joy, you don't want to forget your daughter.
She was distracted by skeleton not moving.
Bones, cool.
Cool! Bones!
Sam,
Sam, like, cut out.
Cool!
Yeah,
Fuck!
all I heard of that was ooh, but
I said cool! Bones!
You peeked your mic.
Cool! Bones! Okay, okay. So you reveal this.
A Tetris piece?
No, I'm sorry. Hold on, give me a second. Let me reveal the area. I was making a
Never.
joke.
I finished my last pizza roll.
How dare you finish without me?
Oh my.
Is pizza roll euphemism for something now?
Don't
Oh, just a
know.
pizza roll.
Google Alabama Hot Pocket.
As you near the end of the hallway, you hear a sound and smell of some old, stale air.
Oh no, a Zambino.
A Zambi? Where?
Isn't that one of those things that they run across an ice rink?
Where?
You said Zambino.
I don't
My
see
first
one.
thought was you said Zambino. My first thought was Plants vs. Zombies.
Don't you mean a Zamboni, by the way?
Yes.
Yes. That is exactly. It was the joke.
Yeah. Alright. Everyone, I'm gonna need you to party like it's 1999. And to roll for initiative.
Yeah, we're already doing it. Anton's not really feeling it today, apparently.
Get back
He's
there.
not feeling
Roll for
combat.
initiative first.
Yeah.
I think I'm going first.
Are you sure about that? You didn't add yourself to the to the sheet.
I thought I did.
You did not.
You got
I
fat
thought I
zero
clicked
there.
Zell, but it gave me Zell's initiative. I rolled a 12 and they rolled a 17.
Interesting. I'll add Zell.
Thank you.
Go ahead and add his initiative. Ah, I see Joy got blackjack.
That's my favorite game.
Hey, it's a
Blackjack's
good
great.
game.
I like blackjack. It's fucking rigged.
It is.
It is.
Because counting cards is easy.
I don't. That
So
ruins
I
the.
can't play in a casino.
I can't play in a casino either. Granted, I'm also banned in a country that's for, but you know, that's potato to potato.
Excuse me.
Potato, tomato.
Potato, potato. Anyways,
Potato, tomato,
Sweet
firecrackers.
potatoes.
Urgai, you go first. Wait, Zell. I thought I told you to put in Zell's. Okay, whatever.
Well,
Draconic
Zell
strike
got a
fire the
17.
zombie.
Yeah, I put it in. Oh, you got a 12? Yeah, you could just put it in your own. Alright. That's gonna
26 hit.
hit. What kind of damage
is-
are you dealing?
Draconic strike fire.
Fire? Oh, okay, cool.
Max damage. Let's go.
16 damage. Okay, you hit this thing with fire. It's kind of smelling like some pork.
Ew.
It's a little like rotten and doesn't smell right, but you can distinctly smell pork.
Oh.
Follow up with a second draconic strike fire.
Yep. That's a hit.
Max damage again. Let's go.
How? Oh my god. I thought y'all were gonna
First
struggle with
line,
these
yeah.
things.
Urgai's just fisting zombies today.
Okay.
Well, good combat, everybody.
Good combat, guy.
Right.
Matt 20 on the initiative and then max damage on both my attack rolls.
Nat 20, let's go. Yeah, shut
I don't think
motherfucker.
you needed max damage on both of them.
Warm up.
Well,
Urgai wasted no time. He died the last time he was in one of these.
I'll take a quick peek in here.
Are you taking a quick peek in there?
Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah, it's Joy's turn. Actually, hold on. It's Joy's turn.
Oh yeah, I can't remember. Sam, was my transformation a bonus action or was it an action?
It's a bonus action. It should say
Bonus action. Gotcha.
in the sidebar.
Right.
Y'all gotta read your shit more.
Yeah, you do have your pre-initiative movement, lol. You got it, Joy. Don't worry about it. You're such a joy to deal with. Don't worry about it. Did you get scared? I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. It's just a zombie. You don't have to worry. Yeah, it's in range. You're good. From there, yeah, you can see it. It's lit up enough in that room.
It's lit, yo.
It's lit, yo.
Yeah, me and the Zen.
Then eat fire!
We could, you know, like, group up
And hit it till it dies! Yeah!
Nice! High
High five!
five!
Until Joy comes up with different flavors of fire.
Oh my god. Different flavors of... Now I'm thinking of, like, actually flavored fire. That's a hit,
Strawberry
Joy.
fire.
I mean,
Straw...
that is
fire.
the thing. Depending on what you burn, you can change the color of the fire.
You can choose the color, but not the flavor.
It still tastes like burning.
It still tastes like burning.
Watermelon fire.
Ooh, watermelon fire.
I'm just naming all the flavors of Jolly Ranchers now at this point.
Cherry
I know
fire.
we're saying this. I'm pretty sure there was a show of some kind that had edible fire, and I can't think of what it was.
I'd
like it
believe
has
it.
like a candy or something. Oh, you know what? I think it was chowder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you know that fire is always hollow?
That checks out.
Yeah, no, I can't argue that, but I just never thought about it. Anyway. What,
Yeah.
22, Sam?
22 hits. I said you did it. Oh, Futurama did it too?
Oh, the edible fire thing?
Apparently. According to
Yeah,
Joy,
that
at
bugs
least.
me up.
By the way, Joy, you shouldn't be watching Futurama. That's too grown up for you.
Speaking of that, I would like to point out I watched Inuyasha when I was 7.
Kagome!
I don't know if that was a good or bad idea.
Bender ate fire and then Fry tried it. Oof.
A bit of both. I remember one specific part of the show scarring me.
Uh-oh. Okay, Joy, you deal 7 damage to the Zambi. Is that all you want to do? Okay. Good hustle, Joy. It's your mom's turn now, so don't worry.
Do the hustle.
I hate that song too.
What the fuck?
You don't understand how many songs I've heard so many times because the weddings I've worked.
At least 4.
Fry going to the cookouts, brother.
So I guess you don't like Gangnam Style either.
Or Despacito.
Or any super popular song.
Don't even get me started.
Well, Game of Style, yes, I got tired of that, but Despacito is one that I actually played at weddings.
Would you still listen to Through the Tables and Memes?
What?
Through the Tables and the Memes.
I don't know what that is.
It's the meme chart for Through the Fire and Flames.
I would. I'd probably get annoyed halfway through, but I'd watch it till the end.
Oh, it's funny. I should link it to you guys real quick.
VTuber internet.
Go ahead and roll your attack.
Hey, there's a new arena in chat.
Small poison child.
Small poison. Hold on. What am I thinking of? Oh my god, what am I thinking
He's nuts.
Got her.
Got her.
Through the Tables and Memes. $16? That is going to hit. Oh, Extreme, that's a really good fire extinguisher.
What?
Not Extreme. Steam, that's a good fire extinguisher.
I was about to be like, what?
Okay, it is before it moves, so you do have advantage thanks to your assassinate ability. And it is going to be a critical hit, and that is a lot of damage, and you kill it.
Good job.
Good job. All right. So what would you all like to do? Ah, damn. Stupid computer.
Who messaged me?
It was me.
Oh.
I am the one who bops.
Random plug. Mordred has a computer on her throne.
Yeah, totally random plug that Mordred should... Or if anyone can get the link for it, just drop it in chat. Meanwhile, I'll just move these two for her. And Kay will reveal a hallway.
Damn. It's a
I know,
nice
right?
fucking hallway too.
It's great. It's made of dirt.
That's some good fucking dirt.
It's really good
Look at
dirt.
all the nowhere we got.
Look at all the minerals.
Look at all them minerals. Where would you like to go? Oh, I realize you're not on screen. I am
like to
distracted by
think-
everything.
That the entire time they're walking around, Charles is like twirling his stick.
Cool.
Just really excited to have a stick.
Excited to have a stick
Oh, they could-
and trying to like spin it like a monk would. You like do cool tricks with it, but he's not doing that all that well.
He's trying his best, okay?
He's trying. Wait,
Yeah,
Octa,
right
where'd you
here.
go?
Chicken.
Oh, you're there.
Who, me? Yeah.
The chicken is going places.
I will be the one who deviates now.
It's not my fault this time. Wait, I'm with Arlos? Never mind, I'm going over here.
I'm the one who makes microwave meals.
Greasy Panda, thank you for following and welcome to the party.
Hello.
Alright, you reveal this area
And a
in a zombie
shaped thing.
and a human shaped thing. And you guys reveal this area, which I will reveal on camera right now. Alright, Zell, you're up first.
Sam Beanie.
Oh no, what a conveniently placed link.
Oh no, what a conveniently placed link.
Oh no.
What a conveniently placed link.
Uh-oh. How very
It's just a picture of
fortunate.
a green man in a tunic.
Is it Link? That's a man in a
It's
green
very
tunic.
fortunate.
I was supposed to say a
That
green
will be
man
so
in a
true.
tunic.
Alright, is that all?
Yep.
Alright. Next up is Dad.
Well, can't let him up. Can't let him go by himself.
I mean, you could.
I was gonna say you could be a negligent parent and let him go by
That's
himself.
what I was saying. You could let him go by himself, but
But
kind of a dick move.
That'll be my turn.
Alright. Alina, Joy, you are in initiative. Thank you.
hey,
Octad,
there's
you're
Bob.
up. You just noticed Bob?
Hmm.
He was at the beginning.
No, but you moved him earlier.
Yeah, to the same spot. I was joking around with him.
Fireball also kills people, Grizzly.
It does.
Okay, so I can go up here.
Carl, that kills people.
Oh, by the way, Llama's with Hat's anniversary was a few days ago.
Oh my
Oh,
god, are you
man.
serious?
Yeah, they did it. It's their 11-year anniversary. They did a short video on it.
That's pretty cool.
11 years? Holy shit.
I'm just gonna go here and do nothing.
Okay, let me figure out this guy's initiative. Cool, noted. Charles, you're up.
Cool.
Excuse me.
Charles is also gonna move forward
Yep,
and do nothing.
cool. Kay, it's your turn.
I am going to move
Forward
here.
and do
Nothing.
nothing. Okay.
No, hold on. I can do it. Produce flame, and I'm gonna throw it at the zombie.
Let's go! Roll produce flame attack. Target Arlos. But Zell would be caught into it. Alright, that hits.
What?
And it's Alina cast Fireball, target Arlos. What's next to you, Arlos?
Wait. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, that hits. It deals 11 damage to the zombie. And yeah. Is that your turn?
Yep.
Alright. Uragai, you're up. What would you like to do while you're down south of the combat?
So many jokes I could have made. Anyways.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot. That was initiative 0. It's the zombie's turn, actually. I just never added him to the initiative because, like, he's gonna die. So, I can't control him with this computer. So, that's the wrong thing. So, he turns around, walks forward, and attacks the small lizard man. Yeah. Octod.
No.
Does a 21 hit you? Oh, I'm sorry, a 22 hit you.
Would you believe me if I said no?
I do not.
That's unfortunate.
Okay. You take 5 bludgeoning damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was rude.
Alright, that is the zombie's turn. Uragai, now we go to you.
I will.
Attack the darkness.
Move here and that's it.
Okay. Joy and Alina, it's your turns. I'm just gonna skip over you two. You two can move at once since you're next to each other. There? Alright. Zell and Arlos.
I will cast Prestidigitation to draw a mustache on Alina's face.
Are you doing this stealthily or blatantly?
Blatantly.
Okay, Alina, you watch as Arlos cast magic in your direction. If you like to identify the spell, you can roll an Arcana check. But there is no saving throw, there is no attack roll, and there is no war on Basing Say.
Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure. Alina, you recognize this is the Prestidigitation cantrip, but you're not exactly sure what he did with it. Is that the end of your turn, Arlos?
We will move forward.
Okay. I will reveal that in a moment. Octad, please attack the zombie.
I attack the zombie.
Okay, roll an attack roll.
I attack him really good.
You critically hit the zombie. Go ahead and critically roll damage.
Split him in 2! 4 more pieces.
8. Actually, roll damage again, because it's a critical. There you go. That's a 20 total damage. And the zombie goes splat. And starts melting, because he did a lot of acid damage as well. Unless you switch it over to electric, in which case it shocks to death.
Well, I didn't change it, so he
Okay,
melted.
he melted. But there you go. You're free from initiative now. Yay!
Yay, let's finish
Where the fuck did you come from?
Where the fuck did you come from?
Motherfucker was all the way back here. He's just right next to me.
Uh-huh.
What the fuck?
He can do that. Hold on, let me just
Yeah,
get this group underway.
he just do that. I know these are just gonna loop back around, but I have to explore to make sure.
I know you
don't
do.
know that.
Stop assuming things. You make an ass out of you and
Ming.
There you go.
Ume.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm wrong, then yeah, you're right. But I'm pretty sure these are gonna link together.
Prove it. Prove that these link together.
Huh?
Prove that these
Oh,
link
yeah?
together. Yeah, yeah.
Take
Uh-huh.
the shadow down. Take the shadow down.
There you go. Shadow's down.
There's still some more shadow in the way. There's still some more shadow in the way.
Oh, how do you know that's not a wall?
There's still some more shadow in the way.
Oh, okay.
Shadow's in the way.
Shadow's in the way.
Oh, look at that. There's a little thing here.
There is a little thing there. Would you like to go in?
Yeah, yeet.
Look up if you need to.
Charles, it's your turn.
Oh god.
Stick 'em, boy.
John.
Charles, he is the strongest kid alive.
He move.
He move? He smack? Or no
And-
smack?
And he smack with stick.
He smack with stick. Ooh. Spicy.
Well,
He's still learning.
he's trying his best.
He's trying
He
his
hits
best.
with stick.
That's what matters most, okay? Kay, would you like to help your son?
Let's see.
Papa's coming.
Papa can only move so far. And then I burn
You burn?
with produce flame.
Oh god, why are you attacking yourself?
Not me. Like
Oh, okay. You hit. And you do 4 damage.
4 burn.
4 burning. Cool. This thing's turn is now. Because that's how math works.
Yes.
It turns around, sees a living creature next to it, and takes a swing.
Oh god, no, Charles.
Okay, hear me out. Does a 10 hit Charles' initiative?
No.
Okay, it misses.
Initiative.
There's AC. Alright, we're gonna move on to Urgai and the rest real quick, as they are also exploring. What a nice segue to these guys who are doing their own thing, far away from any combat around. It's all your turns. What would you all like to do?
I'm gonna keep on moving this away.
Yeah.
How far down would you like to go?
Hold on, I was.
So there's the wall.
Jiggle like you
Man,
gonna
just phasing through reality.
No! No, I am not making a spell called testicular torsion, nor testicular torture.
Why?
Because it's a meme. Alright, is that your turn, Arlos? And Alina? And Urgai?
My turn. I can't speak for the rest of them.
Because it's... Hi, Ba. Would you like a zombie named after you? Oh yeah, sure, it's a very peaceful spell. No, we're not doing Brazilian wax.
Please no. That sounds very uncomfortable.
Which one's
And I don't-
Brazilian wax again?
Crotch.
Yeah,
It's
groin.
all gone.
Anyways, Octad, you're up. A zombie tried attacking Charles. How dare!
How dare I approach the zombie and I go to destroy him like the other one?
Okay. That's a hit. That's a damage. It's still
Yeah.
standing. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
thanks
yeah.
to Thanks to our recent level up, I can actually attack again now.
Whoa, no way. You get 2 attacks?
Yeah.
Who could have thought?
Well, I rolled the I rolled the damage. But...
Okay, roll the attack roll. That's a hit. You deal the damage, and now the zombie dies.
Nice.
Yeah, easy.
Wait, Ba, I have another NPC that can interrupt you, so don't worry about that. I'll get you in a little bit. Let me just go over here, click on this thing, double click on that thing. Ba. There, I named a boss after you. Alright, you're all free from initiative. Again.
Bruh.
Who bruh?
Me.
Definitely Yeti.
I looked at my schedule, and I work 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., and then I work again that day, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Oh my god.
Bruh.
That's so dumb. You're not the server boss, nor the world boss. You are a boss. Would you like to walk in the room?
I mean, we're already here.
True. You are there. And it's Charles' turn. Right where he is.
Oh.
Right where you
Okay.
all are.
I stopped.
Yep.
Stopped after I realized what was going on.
Panda. Panda, we're not doing any country's wax. Okay?
He moved.
Whoa, he moved.
Yep.
Does he have 30 feet or 40 feet movement?
30.
Okay.
I went 30.
He
I'd
moved,
still
but
check
did
forward.
he groove?
Anyways, it's Kay's turn now. Panda.
Oh, God.
Panda. We're not doing wax, okay? It is Kay's turn.
I move.
Cool.
I'm done.
This thing has initiative now.
I had to look to make sure it wasn't the panda I knew, because I realized you kept saying panda.
I know, it's Grizzly Panda.
Gotcha.
Which I realize what the name's pun is, and it's funny. Uragai, you're up. I was finishing my pre-initiative.
Wait, where even are you? Oh.
He's
I
behind
can
you.
still hit him.
You can, actually.
If I'm doing the math right, let's see, 35.
Panda,
That'd be 45.
please, I'm not looking to do homebrew spells. Also, you know you can right-click to leave a corner, right?
Keep forgetting that.
Yep.
We do this every week.
Future editing sim, do a counter.
How many
What-
times
what
do
if
you
I-
have to tell us to do a corner?
Yeah.
In my defense,
This would require
I was using
This would
corners.
require me to do it the bonus dash, right?
Yes, it would require the bonus action dash. Assuming your movement is not 60 feet.
It's 45.
Okay, then yes, you would need the bonus action step of the wind dash. Which also allows you to fly.
I shall do that then.
Alright. So you step of the wind using a key point, and you fly over everyone.
Punch him with Draconic Strike Fire.
Yep. Panda, I'm not making homebrew spells. I do magic items and monsters, but no spells, please. And no, you would have to redeem it if you want one. That's a hit.
Nice.
These zombies are easy to hit, if you couldn't tell.
13.
13? That's a damage. You have a second
Then-
attack?
Try strike fire again.
Yep. It's starting to smell like pork in this room. That is a critical hit. I do not believe there's any way for you not to kill this thing.
I want to see what the funny damage number is.
Go
So I
do
roll
the
damage
funny
twice.
damage number. Do roll damage twice. Alright, you deal the 20 additional damage, completely annihilating this zombie.
Just 26 damage.
And
Or does
giving
it only count 3 once?
it just
Yeah.
it does damage.
Yes.
Anyways, I do have to step away for a moment. I will be back as soon as possible. If you would like to plan amongst yourselves, please do so. Otherwise, I will be back shortly.
We have been tasked with keeping Chet entertained.
Another 10-minute break.
Wait, would you like another 10-minute break?
Is Chat entertained yet?
Well,
Why are you
however,
not
you
doing
take
entertaining?
break.
I'm sorry?
Can Chat hear me?
Yeah, Jess can hear you.
Oh, fuck.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to be right back. I'm gonna be right back. I'm asking you all if you want to do a 10-minute break first.
I mean, I'm cool with just sitting here and entertaining Chat.
Yeah, we can wait.
Okay, I'll be back as soon as I can. And then I'm muting myself.
I will be right back too, though.
Okay.
You guys like jazz?
No.
You like jazz?
Not even my stream, and I gotta entertain people. I'm terrible at that in my own time.
I'm just drawing a busty female character while we wait.
Hey yo.
Hey yo. I'm playing Dokkan Battle. I've been playing Dokkan this entire time.
What is that?
The Dragon Ball mobile game.
Oh. I ain't touching that.
Don't. It's claimed so much of my money.
It doesn't even look worth it.
Never really is when you think about it.
No,
Hey
'cause
yo.
the gameplay looks pretty shitty.
Would. But it is just like a bubble pop game if you really think about it.
It's too animal for me.
Dusk! Hello!
Dusk. Hello,
has
Sam's
stepped
away doing
away.
something. We're
Dusk.
entertaining the chat.
Hi,
Are we
Dusk.
succeeding?
I'm drawing fucking busty furry women, I guess.
To be fair, when aren't you doing that?
You know what? You don't have to call me out on stream, but you're right.
Boss lying, don't believe him.
All I'm saying is, drawing hot women is a fun pastime.
Is going to be the big adopt I do for March.
Oh, there he goes.
We go.
This is Bo's existence in any chat.
We go.
Chiego.
No.
Just casual abuse of power.
The immediate trigger.
I love Monarch. She's great, but that whole thing. I know she's doing it to get a rise out of Sayu, and chat, but like, no.
Yeah, well, it's working.
I know, like
Yeah,
the Kami and
clearly.
Mama thing.
The what?
Oh, the guy pronounced the Kamehameha wrong when they came to Fortnite.
Oh,
Can
I
you
know
do it
you're
on
talking about
purpose?
what. That one made me mad too.
But you should have known that shit was on purpose, bro.
It was, but there are certain things that just make you mad even though you know they're doing it on purpose.
That's fair.
Do you remember how much
Start
the internet
rolling,
was
Jim.
like on that dude when that happened?
Oh, yup. But he got what he wanted out of it.
I mean, yeah, he got the clout he needed for the time. At least he did it in a way that wasn't like harmful, so I'll give the dude credit for that. He just
at
made
least that's
everyone
all.
mad. I'm glad Pokemon Z is real.
Yeah,
Oh,
finally,
God.
because we were waiting for this for a while.
I just wanted to go back to Kalos.
Me too. Kalos needed the love. Also, I'm an active Gen 2 and Gen 5 hater, so fuck him.
Why? What did Gen 5 do?
Gen 5 was real good.
Nothing. I just hate it.
No way, bro. You just want to hate it just to hate something? Doc
Yeah.
Girl's greatest hater.
I'm a day
No
one hater for
way.
no reason. Let me say this. I don't like black and white. I like black and white too.
Black and White
Which is fair. I only ever played the first one.
But I'm just saying. Now that we've had Pokemon Z, I'm waiting for Pokemon Gun.
What the fuck is Pokemon Gun? That's just Power World.
It's the third version of Gen 8. Pokemon Sword, Shield, and Pokemon Gun.
Wouldn't it be Pokemon Bow?
No. No, Dusk. You can't
Why
ban
are
me
we-
on Immortal.
Why are we just jumping past weapons?
Dusk wants to ban Doc because he doesn't like black and white.
Black and white's fun. Albeit it's difficult, but it's fun.
It's not even difficult.
Also, the music goes hard.
I can't disagree. It's got one of the best soundtracks. I cannot argue against that.
Bro, there would be times where I would purposely let Pokemon get to low HP so I can just hear it. Oh, that sounds really bad when you think about it.
That's one of the only times that music goes hard is like the damage theme goes hard. It's in Gen 5.
I love the Gen 5 damage theme because it's done very well. Whereas in like other gens, like I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
At least they try in like Gen 5, they try to blend it in with the music, whereas in like other gens it's pretty noticeable.
That actually brings up a question.
Loud alarm.
So, what's everybody's favorite gym leader from any game?
In any? Oh.
Larry.
Larry do be goated, bro. He's just an average dude. He just wants to go home after the end of the day.
It's hard to say because a lot of them are really good.
Mine used to be Raihan, but Larry, it takes the cake. I love Larry.
I do like Larry. Reinhardt is pretty good.
Yeah, my brother has stated Crasher Wake.
Faulkner, I think his name is. The guy that looks like Monado a lot. Oh, he's wearing a blue jacket.
Yeah,
Nice.
He's in fuck him. I hate that guy. Killed me in my Nuzlocke.
Oof. No, that's understandable.
I can't think of anyone. I kind of want to say, as much as I don't like Gen 5, the Gen 5 gym leader's pretty good. So I want to say Elisa. Or Alyssa? I'm not sure how you say her name.
Her black and white 2 outfit's a lot better than her first one.
I could really take either, honestly.
You could take either, but I prefer the second one.
Yeah.
Gen 5 also has one of the leaders I want to like so bad, but I can't like it because of his stupid fucking tan.
Who?
Marlin, the Black and White 2 last gym leader, because of his
Yeah.
stupid fucking tan line, and I didn't realize it until Pokemon Masters, and then I saw his tan doesn't go all the way down, so I'm like, oh, he's not a person of color, he's got a really weird, stupid tan, his fucking feet are white. Alright, that's not relevant to the conversation, but sure, you don't
Hello, everyone.
you
I'm
don't
back.
need- You don't need to pay me $20.
Sam.
I said that before I unmuted myself.
Sam, favorite gym leader, go.
Favorite gym leader?
From any
Of
of the
all time.
Pokemon games.
Oh my god.
I said Larry.
Larry?
Also, Dusk, favorite gym leader, go.
I said Elisa.
He's lurking.
Elisa, whatever.
Oh, right.
I think her name
Everyone
is
does.
Lisa.
Favorite gym leader, damn.
My most hated gym leader is and will always be Cynthia, because she traumatized me as a child.
She's not a gym
Wouldn't
leader.
that be a champion?
My waifu alone.
No,
she's not gym leader.
Oh, well, whatever. You know what I meant.
Her piano
But
was kind of a
No,
jump.
she could traumatize me 5 days throughout the week. I need 2
Agreed.
days to myself and at least one of them for business.
Elisa.
Who?
Yeah,
Elisa.
Nice.
she's just a very good character.
Yeah. Really?
I can't picture her off the top of my head.
The fashion model.
There's that fashion model, yeah.
Yeah, the electric gym leader for Gen 5.
Nice.
She has two
Yes,
designs.
That means nothing to me.
Mine,
I don't.
mine personally is why am I forgetting his name?
Which
The
Which
the
gym-
rock
which
gym
gym
leader,
leader?
the rock gym leader from Diamond and Pearl with the Craniados.
Rourke.
Oh,
Rourke.
Rourke?
Rourke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
I like
was
Rourke.
the first gym leader I ever battled that gave me trouble because Diamond and Pearl was my first game gen. He was the
I like
first
this
gym leader.
character.
He was the first gym leader that gave me trouble because his Cranidos kept landing crits. Not Cranidos. No, yeah, Rampardos is the evolution. Cranidos kept landing hit crits.
Damn.
Hold on. And Mikey, I got you.
Skill issue. What? Yeah, that's her black 2, white 2 design.
And here's her black one.
That's her black and white design.
Oh. Her.
Mm-hmm.
3.
The bitch with the Emolga and the 2 Emolgas and 1 Striker.
It just keeps volt switching.
Mm-hmm. It's a good strategy,
Truly
not gonna
evil
lie.
Strategy. Like,
Pursuit
Yeah,
with
same.
a volt switch.
yes.
Yes, but not in that way. Pursuit would just hit normally, and then Volt Switch changes. Because Pursuit has priority. Kinda.
Yeah.
Anyways. That's enough about Pokemon. Who cares about Pokemon? We're here for Dungeons
It's
and
Pokemon
Dragons.
Day.
It is Pokemon.
It is
Day.
Pokemon Day, never mind. So, along with favorite gym leader,
Favorite champion is Cynthia /
I am
Steven.
back. Had to lay the baby in her crib.
Hi,
welcome
Bear.
back.
What were you saying, Crove? Is Cynthia / who?
Steven, my favorite champions. Their
You
type.
almost had me. Cynthia / Leon.
Favorite gen.
Oh, I forgot about Leon.
Leon's so fucking
Leon?
stupid. I love him.
Leon's
and I
cool.
love him. He's just so fun.
Yeah.
The himbo we all
favorite-
needed.
Favorite gen? Probably
Gen 3 is
4.
my favorite.
Up
Gen
top.
3. I would say
Gen
Gen
3
4 or
was-
Gen 9.
I'm a gen 2, baby.
I feel like somebody's gonna get mad when I say this, but my favorite gen is Gen 6.
Right?
No, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with that.
Gen 5?
don't know.
Not bad.
I don't know what my favorite gen is. Oh no.
We cannot advance until you decide this.
Do you know what games they are, or do you not know what your favorite is?
Shit.
5 is close solely because of Zorua.
Fair.
There's so much pressure right now.
5 also has the train conductors.
It do. I mean, so does
Very
Legends
cool,
Arceus,
true.
but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. 6 is one of my favorites, solely based on customization.
I really do like 6. It's really
I think
fun,
8
especially when you play with the experiencer auth. It's a lot more challenging than people give it credit for.
I think Gen 8 had better customization, but it was nice to finally get it in Gen 6.
Blasphemy.
It is not blasphemy. I had the fit, bro.
Also, side note.
Gen 6 had better fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So,
They all have
side
shit
note.
fashion taste.
Side note, in Gen 6, was I the only one who was upset that the game where megas were introduced, the starters didn't get megas?
No,
See,
they're already
I
getting
was
enough
bad
tension.
with it. Yeah, but I mean, Massacre Ninja became a thing eventually, so.
Yeah.
True, but I think that would more or less be a form change and not like a mega.
Although,
Apparently it is considered a mega.
can we all agree that Chestnut is dumb?
It's just a little guy.
I like
No, Chestnut.
Chestnut's fun.
Chespin is a little guy. Chestnut is not.
It's just a little guy that got big and he's stupid looking.
Yeah, but he's
Chestnut.
still just a little guy.
He's not
living his life.
that cool.
He
For
doesn't
Ninja's
have
best,
to.
and you'll never
He's
change your mind.
awkward. He's my least favorite of those three.
So,
He is.
side note, this is a bit of a funny thing. Who do you think my brother's favorite one out of the 3 was?
Chespin.
Chestnut, yeah.
Damn.
Well, yeah, I knew that, but given what was just said.
Skill issue, Mantis. Skill issue. Anyways, back to D&D.
Radio.
So, you two continue on downwards, passing up all these coffins that might have treasure in them.
See, don't do that, because you know I'm going to want to check every last one of these.
I know you are.
But I know it's
Why?
a trap, because it's just going to spawn in more mobs.
Is it? Is it though?
Don't do it. Don't fall into temptation. Deliver us from evil.
Literally what's going to happen.
Deliver us from evil.
I just want to get to
It's
the
a
bottom
hole.
of
Is
the
that an asshole? What the fuck is that?
It's a hole in the ground.
It's bleeding. It's bleeding.
It's not bleeding. There's a trail of blood running towards it.
It's
Oh my God,
anus
bro.
is bleeding.
My anus is bleeding. I love that video.
Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna check this coffin here. This is the only coffin I'm gonna check.
Which coffin?
This one right here.
Okay. Roll me an athletics check to force open the heavy top.
Looks like we might not be opening this coffin.
If Kay and Charles would like to assist as well.
What about Zell, who's right there?
Am I rolling athletics? Is that what this is?
Yes, Zell is a lot scrawnier than all three of you.
Yeah, but he's there.
Well,
He can try.
we ain't opening shit, bro.
Damn.
We should get the opposite way.
How the hell did Charles roll on that one?
That's what I want to know.
He's the strongest out of
See
the
here.
four of you.
You see, he rolled a 1, and that's where the story is.
Alright. I was gonna give it to Arlos anyways, because that was enough. But you are able to push it despite the fact that Kay, Charles, and Zell are all pushing against you.
Oh.
They think they
Look,
helped.
bruh.
They think they helped. The kids do,
You
at
asked
least.
for help.
I did. You know what? You did great.
Alina,
I'll
I'm also gonna need an athletics check.
Why are you all trying to open the graves? Leave them alone.
It's possible treasure.
Alright, you're also able to successfully open it. As
We're-
you watch and roll initiative. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
We're literally
Doing
being
here?
in a trial being judged.
Okay.
Grave robbing.
Both of you, see a skeleton in there, and you are confused before you start to feel a burning sensation of cold on your arm, roughly where the binds are, and you both take 4 cold damage. But Alina, you are resistant, so you take 2.
Y'all couldn't just leave shit alone.
Hate it.
So,
here.
side note, Sam,
Mm-hmm.
when you made Paladin Dance pop up, the first thing that popped into my mind was the theme for Majima Everywhere.
I don't know that.
Oh, right, you haven't played Yakuza yet.
Mordred, that was the joke. I did that for a reason. That everyone was supposed to see that. Wait, why are you running assault mode in your deck? It's not that good of a trap card.
There was a time where it was viable.
I mean, yeah,
Barely.
but yeah. Anyways. Assault mode. I get it. Alright, anyways. You all see this giant asshole in the ground.
Whoop.
Yeah, do you jump?
You fool!
Do you jump?
I cartoon cannonball into it.
Oh my god.
We might lose an Octod.
We might. I'm walking around it.
Okay, hold on. So
Holding.
10 feet for 2d6, and then 1d6 for every 5 feet. No, it's 15 feet for 2d6. Alright. Octod, you take 8 points of bludgeoning damage as you hit the ground.
As he was falling down, I thought it was another portal.
It was a hole in the ground. You could see a rope hanging from one end of it. In fact,
Notice how I
the
didn't
rope is
roll for
right
perception.
there.
Notice how I didn't roll for perception.
You didn't roll for perception in real life.
Oh, I saw the rope.
Okay, so you just rolled for stupidity.
So is
Rolled
there
for
anything
comedy,
over
Sam.
here?
I rolled for comedy.
There's more. If you want.
There's
I-
gold down here.
I will tell you, the way forward is through the hole.
I kind of figured. But
Guys, there's
treasure.
gold down here.
Shine
Octad,
light on it.
Octad, roll a
I don't-
deception check.
Oh, that was almost a nat 20.
There is gold down there. Whoever wants to roll an insight check to disbelieve. Beat an 18.
Fuck.
Well, fuck.
There's gold down there.
Well, Charles knows he's lying.
No, he doesn't.
Shit. Oh wait, you said 18.
Yeah.
I miscounted.
There's gold down there.
Except-
There's gold down
wait,
there.
There's still
one
person.
person who has to roll. Joy? Oh my god, Joy got it!
She's on
Joy's
the
the
bullshit.
only one who knows. She doesn't tell anyone.
Uncle Octod's lying, but she doesn't say anything.
She knows that you're lying, Octod, but she wants to see everyone fall and get hurt, and it's funny. So she doesn't say anything. But everyone else, there's treasure down there. There's gold.
I want to walk over to the rope calmly.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Alright, roll me an athletics check with advantage.
Throw your name into the goblet of fire, Dumbledore says calmly.
Harry, did you throw your name into the goblet of fire? Did you throw your name into the goblet of fire? Alright, so you all descend down the rope easily.
Yeah.
It's a DC 1. Don't fail.
No, I don't like the way you just said that. Don't fail.
Don't fail.
Don't fail. It's a DC 1. Do not roll on that one with a -1.
Worst case scenario, you take 8 damage.
You take 2d6, 3d6, 2d6.
I swear to God.
Oh my god. I'm glad I made it 1 and not 5. Charles is just like Charles Mission Impossible the rope.
By the way, Sam, I don't know if you've played this game, but I saw the pit. My first thought was the Binding of Isaac.
I have not played it.
Yeah.
I know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like my roguelikes, but I've heard like I don't want to play it.
It's rough.
It is a very difficult game.
I'm playing Ultra
Especially
Kill.
the
I don't
original.
care about difficulty. It's just kind of gross.
It could, the game can be kind of triggering depending on certain things.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just gonna reveal this. Yeah. Skeleton.
Line up for the rope.
There is a... Oh, man!
Oh no, there is a skeleton.
Oh, there was a coffin that looked really different from the other ones.
So give it up. There ain't shit in the coffins.
There's
you
2.
don't know that.
There's 2. There's 4. There's 4 that look very different from the others. Anyways,
Man.
go ahead and put yourselves down on the new map.
Alright, Sam, get prepared to shrink Charles.
Why did Charles grow so
Hey.
often?
Oh, Charles.
Charlesman! Digivolve too!
Digiball too. What? Where did I go? What just happened?
You're right there.
On my screen, I'm not there except for my name. Oh, there I am.
There you go.
Thank you.
I got you to
I was like,
move.
what the fuck?
Alright. Welcome to the next floor. Arlos, there was nothing in those coffins.
We never know unless we look. All I'm saying is the possibility is infinite in both ways.
Fucking loot goblin.
Meanwhile, God up here is being like, but okay, whatever.
Get out of my head!
You know how I rolled an athletics check and it was 2?
Yes.
I just realized Kay has wings. He could have floated down.
Skill issue.
Literally skill issue because I never remember he has wings. He's a fucking bird.
That's literally your fault.
I know.
Hey guys, about time you got down here.
How was your trip?
Where's the gold?
I was hoping no one would say anything.
That's why they came down there.
Guys, if you keep splitting up like this, we're gonna have an incident where everybody gets killed again.
Alright, I was wondering when people would notice that I was wandering off.
When did you learn about that? Octad.
God told me.
Oh, that's right. I forgot I did that. Wait, was it me or was it a different god?
I don't know.
Oh,
Just
okay.
saying.
Got it. Get it?
Oh,
Got
God.
it.
I don't want to go with these people.
Ha, religious humor.
I'm gonna make like an affinity chart. I keep meaning to, and I just keep forgetting. But I'm gonna make an affinity chart for a group.
An affinity chart?
It's a thing in Xenoblade where the character shows how much the characters get along with each other,
Oh.
and it grows throughout the game. And it has different descriptions based off the individual relations to each other.
Hold on, I got 2 screens to manage here. I'm trying to keep up with everyone.
Well, because we got 3 different groups, we're about to have 4 different groups.
Give me a second. Hold on.
Octod's gonna get confused. Octod's gonna get confused and go down the hole.
Again.
Or go up the hole.
There goes Alina, Urgai.
Every guy you see this and this. Who's Alina and Joy are south.
Guys, why can't we just stick together? feel like we're about to fight the Rancor.
You're lucky you haven't run into anything yet. Hold on. Let me get this group real quick. Okay, hold on.
Guys, slow down. Sam can't handle it all.
Yeah, it's a bit much. Hold on. Also, Urgai, you're in a place. Okay.
I was waiting for Sam to get it.
Combat. Let's go. Roll initiative, please.
Hey, all I'm saying is Zombie's got his back turned.
I feel bad, but you're the one that structured the map like this.
I did not structure this map. It's just how it came. I didn't draw this.
Yeah, but you placed the enemies.
I placed the enemies, yes. But this was designed by Che Peku. Not a sponsor, but really cool. They're the cartographers. They're the ones who make the maps.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, there's combat.
There's 2 combats.
There is 2 combats. As Alina is
one time,
also in combat.
except for that one time when the map was made by
Arcus.
Fall Knight. Yeah, Arcus.
Yep. Who unfortunately isn't streaming anymore, but hope he's doing well in whatever it is he's doing.
Yeah.
Anyways, Alina, you're up first. Urgai, it's initiative.
Alright. Where was...
It doesn't matter anymore. I just noticed you because you're on my other screen and not the one I'm controlling everything with. Yeah, you got a nat 20 on initiative. Brain is breaking. Sam is shaking. Things are taking. Mind is flaking.
Knees weak.
Mom's spaghetti.
Damn, I can go for some of that right now.
Damn, I could go for some spaghetti too. That's a hit. Go ahead, and I think I rolled a 1, Thimk.
I want chicken parmesan. That sounds good.
Sam is thinking.
Chicken parmesan.
The ship is sinking.
The sink is sinking. The floor is drinking.
Excuse me. That's
Okay.
illegal.
Alina, your combat is over. Good job.
That's illegal. How did you do that much?
Okay. Your turn.
I'm gonna... Okay. Okay, bear with me.
It's sneak attack, to be honest.
I'm gonna thorn whip this guy.
Yep. Go ahead and roll an attack.
Wait.
Alright. And now I roll a DC strength saving throw?
Do you want me to put it in chat?
Yes, please. Alright. Oh, and no strength saving throw. So you deal 9 damage to this thing, and you pull it 10 feet closer to you.
Yep.
Eh. Oh, I should move the camera to you guys. Alright, next up is Armalbalos.
Alright, Armalbalos.
Oh, unless
one,
Kay had something else. I'm sorry.
No, I'm reading. Hold on, 1 second.
Uh-huh.
Something just fell in my room.
How close? Melee is 5. That's 5 feet, right?
That's 10 feet.
Or
Each square is 5 feet.
well, no, I meant for like just melee range in general.
Yes, that would be considered 10 feet.
Well, it depends on your.
Hmm?
I was gonna say I can bonus action flame blade this bitch if I truly wanted to.
You could.
I'm
I don't
gonna.
think it's worth it.
Okay, you could step up and flame blade this guy.
I don't think it's worth it for just one zombie.
Well, the concentration's kept up for however long.
Okay.
It's like 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. That's a hit, and that's a damage. So in total, you dealt 16 damage to this thing. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Now, Arma Malos, it is your turn.
Alright, we're just gonna whack him.
With the stick?
Yeah.
Is it a sharp stick?
It's a very sharp stick.
It's a very
You
sharp
just hear
stick.
from behind Kay, Charles is like, whack him with a stick, huh?
Meanwhile, waving around his quarterstaff.
He whacks Kay in the back of the knee like, ow, son of a...
That's a natural 20.
Yeah. The first swing too.
Yeah, go ahead and roll damage twice.
Sure. It was just 2d6, right?
It's just the damage again. Just roll it again. Yes, I'm letting you add your modifier twice. I do not care.
Nice.
Yeah. Makes crits more critty. Alright, you deal more than enough damage to take this thing out in one swing. Speaking of which, good job.
Yay!
Yeah. Alright, now where's Arlos? No, where's there's Octad. And
right here.
alright, no more initiative for now.
Until
wait
the
there for
giant
now.
skeleton shows up.
Oh no, a
Popping
diverging
bottles?
path.
The diverging path.
Right.
You going right?
Going right.
Alright.
I like Uruguay better.
That's rude.
But it's how Octod would think. Gotta understand that.
Give me 1 second. As you encounter... Bah!
Oh god.
Shit.
Alright, I'm gonna kill this thing.
Rolling
real fast.
initiative.
Oh, and I know what that is too.
Do you?
Or at least I know what the art is.
Do you know what that is?
I know what the art is.
Are you sure you know what that art is? And what that creature is in turn?
Yes.
Oh yeah? Well, does Octad know?
No.
Well, good. You shouldn't.
Shouldn't. Oh, you have straight for it though. Oh shit. Oh god, everything's going wrong. Oh no.
Oh.
Schwa.
Wait a second. Why is Alina in here twice?
What?
Alina's after Charles, but Alina rolled has a 13. Unless I change... No, it was 23.
Oh.
I must have changed something.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, anyways. Also,
Uh,
Joy's in the wrong position.
So, I'm gonna do all this off my screen. How does the changing of my things work? As a bonus action, you can switch damage from acid to electric. I'm gonna switch to the electric. I think it might be weak to it. Plus, it just makes sense if it's. Yeah.
Yep.
It looks like water, so I'm gonna assume it's water. Octave would assume it's water.
Presumably, it is water. It is a swirling mass of water, in fact.
So to switch, so he's gonna bonus action swap his element from acid to electric.
And it's in the shape of a goat as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's gonna swing to hit it.
That's, oh, I should actually look at the sheet because it's a different creature.
I'm pretty sure 24 is gonna hit it.
Yeah, that is a hit.
Now for damage, and it's probably gonna say acid, but it's electric.
Yeah, it will say acid, but it's whatever. So 11 with 4 electric. Just double checking some things. And this counts as a magical weapon, even if it isn't. Yeah. It takes 11 damage.
Okay, second attack.
Second attack, go! That is a hit. Roll damage.
I was actually worried for a second there.
I know, right? It's almost scary.
Well, the worst
5 damage.
I'm so sorry.
rolled ones on everything.
You got 16 to this creature. Good job. Next up
That's all. Yep.
is Joy. Unless you wanted to use bonus action for anything.
I already used it to switch my thing.
Oh, fair. You hear this creature. Okay, you actually understand this creature. It says, "You look thirsty." Bah.
What did you say?
You look thirsty.
Kay just starts cackling. Like, are you serious?
Over here talking like a DC villain.
Don't blame me. Look at Ba.
Chicken, are you getting this?
The chicken's the only one laughing.
Literally, like, Kay's just sitting there trying so hard not to
Fireball! I
roll
mean,
on the floor.
firebolt! Go ahead and roll attack. That's a natural
Roll.
1.
Oh no.
Poor Joy.
Hey, Joy? High or low? High? Okay.
His
I believe that was the right choice.
65. Octod,
Nice
it misses both of you.
Whew. That was close.
Mm-hmm. Alright. Good hustle, Joy. Nice try. About to kill Octod.
Octod from the corner. You gotta remember to control the fire.
Alright. It's Ba's turn. And once again, you hear, "You look thirsty."
Kay just starts cackling like a bird.
As
like
it
he's
rolls to
losing it.
attack you twice.
Octod doesn't know what to say, and you're not my dad.
That's a natural 1. And that's a 19 on the die. So does a 26 hit you?
No.
Okay. Next up is no rolling damage.
Oh man.
That was nearly max damage. You take 19 damage. Bludgeoning. And then it is going to kind of worm its way around you. And it's Zell's turn.
Yeah, that one hurt, guys.
Well, this doesn't look good. Zell is going to move over yonder.
Will you wander over yonder?
Over yonder. Will attempt to sneak.
Okay. Use your action to sneak.
Yeah.
With disadvantage.
Oh, no.
Because you're not hiding behind anything.
Fair enough. Yeah. Aw, man.
Reindeer don't let Bob play. So now Bob is here to slay! Well, shit. Hold on. Give me a second.
I was gonna say, why'd you say, "Oh man, you rolled a 20"?
I rolled a 20 and a 13. I'd rather have the 20.
Fair.
What do you?
A 20 on the
It still
die.
added up to. It still added up to a 20.
Yeah, but the natural 20. Chef's kiss. Mwah.
You think you're well hidden, Zell? At least you assume so.
Oh.
Anyways, is that the end of your turn?
That is, yeah.
Urigai, you're up.
Yeah, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to power up.
Joy, you lost sight of Zell. You're gonna power up?
Yes.
Alright. You go Super Saiyan. No, you activate your stage mode. Your Zen mode, sorry, your Zen mode.
Yeah.
I forgot that's what I called it in the end.
Let's go, Darman at 10.
Also, I
That's not
realized
where
I have
got
no
it
idea
from.
how to change the PNG.
I'm sorry?
I realized I have no idea how to change the PNG.
Right click. Unless I didn't do it for you. Hold on. Double checking. You do not have another PNG. Sorry.
Alright, never mind.
I did not do it. I failed you.
Alright, I will approach
Uh-huh.
menacingly.
You're approaching me?
Oh, how can I punch you without approaching you?
Instigate JoJo's screen.
Well, we know what the thumbnail is.
Yeah, we got the thumbnail.
Okay, I'm gonna use your Conic Strike Lightning.
Mm-hmm. That's a hit.
Also, my due to my level, my attacks count as magical weapons. My fists do.
Yep. Even though you're not doing physical damage, it still counts as magical either way.
Yes.
Alright, so that's 11 damage.
So that's 11 plus 3 plus, what was it?
That's 8 plus
1d4?
3 plus 1d4.
Yeah.
8 plus 3, which is 11. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yes, you can, Ba. Feel free. So plus 3, so 14 damage.
Yes. And it's lightning.
Yep. Ba's gonna DM me his final words. Anyways, it's still standing. You did not kill it. He's just preparing. He's assuming you all would win.
I'll roll again.
What a confidence.
Same attack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this hits.
That's not hit.
Gotcha. Alright, that's it for me.
Okay. Next up is Charles Barkley.
I just inhaled so hard my back cracked. Holy shit.
Ooh, love it when that happens.
I don't.
Oh no, oh yeah. I'm sorry.
Do. And Charles is going to whack him with the stick.
Ultra Mega Bunk.
That is a hit, and that is a good 15 damage. Is there anything else Charles would like to do?
No.
Okay. Good hustle, Charles. Alina, you're up. What beautiful final words, Ba. I will remember to remember them. But I might forget to remember, so like we'll see how that works out. temptation be real, but no, I will fire the bow normally. Sounds good. So you reach back from your katana, forming the radiant bow, and hit with a natural 20.
Oh. Octave may need to dodge.
Why won't you dodge?
Skill issue on your part.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, go ahead and roll damage twice. Yep. So that's 22 and 25. That is 47 damage.
I'm not allowed anything else. You're doing too much damage.
And it is still standing. Did you add the cold damage from the weapon? You gotta remember to add cold damage from your sword.
Sword?
Sword.
My ancient sword. We gotta keep the sword nice and sharp.
So it's 1d6 each, or is it 2d6 twice? One d6 each. Okay. Alright. You deal some good damage to it, and it looks like it partially freezes up at the cold. But is that the end of your turn? Alright. Kay, you're up.
Hold on, guys. Oh god. Wait, oh. I was like, where am I?
Where are you people?
Who are you people?
Where are you?
Where are you?
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
God, I hate that. It sucks. Why do you guys keep bringing up songs I hate so bad?
You're welcome.
I moved
Better taste, nerd.
now.
Yeah, get better
No,
taste, nerd.
Yeet.
No.
Flame blade.
Let the music actually be good.
18, that is a hit. And 11 damage. Okay. Double checking something. Cool.
Yes, I know. It's water and I used fire. No one yell at me. I need to prep my spells better.
All good.
You watch as the blade slices through and seems to deal about as much damage as you thought it would.
Cool.
Is there anything else you'd like to do? Is that a bonus action, by the way?
No, that was my normal action. I can do it again for a bonus action, though.
Would you like to?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and roll attack.
Yeet.
That is unfortunately a miss.
God damn it.
Yep. Alright. Next up is Armamalos.
All right.
Whoa, antagonist! I'm sorry.
Hello, antagonist.
I'm going to use Blur.
Blur?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I'm going to bonus action Bonkai and go for the ice variant.
Bonkai!
I do say I have a funny idea.
Mhm.
I have a funny idea if it's still alive when it gets to my turn.
Okay.
Well, if it does.
Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn, Arlos?
That is both my action and my bonus action.
Would you like to move?
Where am I?
You're down here next to Alina.
What year is it? Who am I?
Who are you? Who am I? What ear is it?
I'll try to block the. I'll go this way.
Roll a perception check.
Oh, okay. We all know how this goes.
1.
Close.
You have no idea where Zell went.
I feel like this is the second time this has happened.
All right, Octad, you're up. You also have no idea where Zell went.
It's not really my concern right now, either way.
I don't know. It's pretty concerning. One of the children are gone, and I wonder where they could possibly be.
It's not my child.
Oh wow. Okay.
All right. So first things first.
Oh yeah, you're talking. Yeah.
I shall Angie.
You shall Angie?
I Angie.
Okay.
Heard okay, and then I heard a little ding from the notifications. I thought you did something, but it was Alina.
Oh.
And now that I Angie, I do a smack.
You do a smack? That is a hit. All right. Hey, Octad. How would you like to do this?
How do you? I guess because it's water, I kind of just try to. I hit it with the flat part of the blade, so I'm not holding it like I'm chopping. I'm holding it like flat. Try to squish them.
All right. So you splash out a large chunk of water, as it's barely stable enough to stay afloat. I don't know what you call it. And Kay, as this thing starts to topple over, you hear, "Bar left 100,000 platinum in the," before it splashes and dissipates into the ground.
Kay's just like, wait, no! Where did he leave the platinum?
Oh, I went into rage for no reason.
Yes, you did! It had 6 health left.
Man.
I'm sorry.
It was a water elemental, by the way, right?
Yes.
Had a
But
feeling it was either that or a water weird.
I was debating whether to put that or a water elemental Myrmidon. That would be more difficult, but you know, whatever.
After Octon just gets rid of the elemental, it looks at Kay. He's like, I did it.
You did, and I'm very proud of you.
I will power down.
You will power down.
Okay.
Octon very proud of.
Robot
very proud of
turtle
himself. Calms
something.
down.
Arlos, will you also power down?
Nah.
Okay. Zell appears behind you at your surprise. You just feel a hand on the back of your leg, and you jump as
Jesus.
Yep.
Where the fuck did you go?
You watch as Zell cowers back at you, jumping.
Curse your child.
You bloody scared the shit out of me.
Don't curse your child.
I'll give him a hug.
He accepts.
Yay!
I had a funny idea too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, Octad. There's a giant hole in the ground.
Oh god, not another one.
Do I?
There's another hole in the ground.
I can't. I don't have enough health to warrant doing it.
You can slide down. There's a bunch of bones.
Hold on, sorry, can I roll to see
that
if
works.
the edges of that look stable?
I go to
Because
slide
that does
down.
not look. That doesn't look stable.
Okay.
I go to slide
As
down.
you go to see if it looks stable, Octad jumps onto the bones and rides them down like a fucking surfboard.
That's exactly what I was picturing. I'm glad you said it without me having to say a goddamn thing.
You're welcome.
Wahoo!
Octad, you go ahead and take 0 damage as you slide down with like 1d4 coolness, and you rolled a 4 on that.
Oh.
You rolled a 4 out
No.
of 4 for coolness.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say no. I got a 15.
I rolled 1d4, and you rolled 4.
Alright, well, I didn't know that you were rolling a D4 first.
I was trying to figure out how to describe it as I was doing it. Look, I'm not smart, okay?
Says you.
Apparently, Alina's following suit.
Alright, Alina, you grab on the Joy, tuck her just underneath Luna, and you jump down and do something similar to what Atta did as you slide down and meet him down there.
Oh, good eyes. Oh, wait, has Alina been holding her infant this entire time?
Yes. So anyways, you hop into your shell and you slide down on your back. Like some sort of turtle who is also a ninja, probably. And Kay, you watch as Charles jumps to join everyone. Do you grab him?
Yes, he's going to attempt to grab him and be like, "What are you doing?"
You stop him. I was gonna slide with everyone. As Arlos and Zell just slide down.
Lose good, dude. We can too.
Fine, if we're sliding. If you want to slide down, we slide down together.
Yes. And you slide down to the next floor. And you'll be able to see this next floor is super cold and icy in nature.
Pages groans, not again.
And also the bones seem to have disappeared.
I am so tired of the cold.
And
You part dragon?
how late do you guys want to go?
I mean,
I'm running on Steam here.
You're running
No.
on Steam?
No.
Do you mean out of Steam or?
Running on Steam's an expression.
Yeah, I'm just double checking.
Yeah. Getting tired. I gotta make my bed because I did my sheets.
So you're running on fumes.
You can still
I
say
can
Steam.
keep going, and I want to.
Because this next part is gonna take quite a while.
then
I say
we-
save for next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause it's almost 11 as it is, and usually we go to 12 at most.
Yeah.
New come on, this is the best part.
I'm sorry, but I'm calling it here because it's gonna be dangerous. I promise you, you will not regret waiting here until next session. So, I want to thank everyone for showing up today. You've all been a great audience. Really appreciate you all showing up and showing your love.
Fine, consider it a short rest then.
Alright, if you want a short rest here, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that actually. Well,
Also, Ba, you need to target one person with that.
What do you mean by that?
They all need healing as a different, redeem. Ba, you need to target one person with they need healing.
Yeah, maybe start with the they need healing part and not you need to target one person with that.
Hey, you can be
We're all
looking at chat.
traumatized.
Ba fights for Ba's healing. So you want to heal yourself?
If I was to be generous, I could appreciate the heals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of messed up. Well, Mordred, that just makes it all the more exciting when we get to play next week.
Mordred, trust me, the wait will be worth it. You are nearing the end of this dungeon. I said it would take 2 or 3 sessions. I did not think it would actually take 3 sessions.
Again, the potion cooking took some time.
Yeah, as well as you guys also skip parts of the dungeon. Yes.
Found the next thing.
The best fucking part is gonna take like 2 or 3 hours if you guys do it the wrong way.
Yeah, I'd rather do that all in one shot.
The
than
raccoon
just
tail
have to-
one can have. Okay, Doc, you heal. That's 2. 8 damage.
I almost don't want it when being referred to as the raccoon-tailed one.
You're Tanuki.
Yeah, but use my goddamn name.
The raccoon tailed one.
I'm angry.
Speaking of which, who are you people again? Why are you playing my game with me? Starting with Doc?
Damn it. God, this is what happens when you make Sam simp for you.
It is.
Anyway.
Sorry.
I am the Pixel Doctor, aka the Docto, aka Octot in this game. Barbarian kobold that everyone loves, who's also a bard. And I stream and I record videos for YouTube. Find me at Pixel Doctor on YouTube. Find me at the Pixel Doctor on Twitch. Find me at Pixel_Doctor on Twitter. I have no
I am
current
Mordred,
projects right now.
aka Alina, the now impatient fox lady who will probably try and stream tomorrow.
She could tell she's impatient because she cut me off.
Wait, shit, sorry, hit enter too soon.
It's a
It's
good timing.
It's fine, but I'm stealing your pick. Mike, you go next.
Hello, I'm Cosmos Keeper, aka Karen, and I don't have a streaming schedule, but I'm back to streaming, so it's nice.
Yay!
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Cosmos_Keeper, or my art Twitter, which is linked in my bio over there. Crow.
Y'all have schedules?
No.
I don't have a schedule. I just said I don't have a schedule.
Oh, you
I
right.
usually do. I just keep forgetting.
Hey everybody, my name is KiryuMakotoVT. You can find me under that same name on all social media platforms. I played Arlos, the Hexblade Warlock. And, yeah, I'll come back to streaming sooner enough. Sooner or later, we're going to finish Bloodborne. I promise. We're almost there.
Bloodborne hard.
That's hard. It's actually kind of short.
It is short if you know what you're doing and if you're good at the game. I, however, did not and was not when I played it.
I do not and am not.
Alright, go ahead, Turtle Sensei.
I am the Mini Eddie. I was playing Urga the Tortal Monk. You can find me at the Mini Yeti on Twitch. You can also join my Discord if that is something you'd be interested in. However, I would say follow Sammy. She is a wonderful individual.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next day I plan on streaming is Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, and I plan on continuing playing Lost Planet.
That's exciting.
You said Lost Planet, but I heard Wasp Planet.
How the
Lost
fuck
Planet?
did you hear
I'd
Lost
play
Planet?
that.
I mean, close
Oh,
enough.
Sounds awful.
And I've
That
been
was-
Sammy,
What?
your VTubing cat GM DM for TTRPGs and stuff. I am tired. This is a mega dungeon. I am mega tired.
I'm tired.
Spend time
I
on
thought
the
you were gonna
Lost
say
Planet.
BDSM
You'll be
in that at
just
some point.
fine.
But I want to thank you all for showing up. Thank you to my players once again for putting on a great performance, honestly.
Thanks
You-
for having me.
All your characters are great. I love each one of you.
I jump into hole.
Mordred, trust me, you'll love the opening to next session, especially if you go to the right.
Is there any other
Noted.
direction to go? It
There-
looks like we can only go
There's right up and right down. I recommend right down if you want the exciting start to next session.
Oh, yeah, I
Go
do have
right
a.
up.
I was gonna say I do have a raid
Bet.
target if that's alright with you guys.
Okay. If you want the right target, feel free.
Yeah.
I don't think Yeti's picked in a while, so
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine. He goes by SinsVT. It's spelled SYNNSVT, all lowercase. He's currently playing Five Nights at Freddy's Help 1 and 2.
Ooh, sweet. All right, well, let's show some love to Sins VT. And remember, you all have a good night, a good time zone, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm tired. I'm Sam. This is my peeps, and we are out.
Deuces.
Later, everyone. Love you. Oh yeah, raid messages. I almost forgot. We have a raid messages for followers, and raid messages for subscribers. Please copy and paste whichever one applies to you. I am gonna do the same and try to open up whichever one works, and I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
We believe.
I don't.
What the fuck?
Sam's had a busy day. I know she's tired. She spent a good half her day with me today.
I've done quite a bit. But yeah, thank you everyone for showing up. We're raiding out. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
So long. Farewell.
Arriba, say goodbye.
Yeah.
Adieu. Oh God, I don't remember.
You.
Thank you.
Give me 1 second.
Dang.
Doing my raid message, and now I end stream. Good night's recorded session. Mwah.